Chapter 1682. Huamin, you don't have to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. You had your reasons. Rick feels guilty about what happened to Qin Chu. He's been depressed and can't get over it. It's normal for you to talk to him. Plus, it's better to talk to him face to face than over the phone. With Rick's identity, he can't come to our house to see you. If the military finds out that my family is related to him, my grandpa will be investigated. So, it's not your fault, it's just that those people are too crazy. After calming down, Suyu didn't blame Huamin. Huamin was a person with a sense of propriety, and this time, he had his reasons. That's not right. I should have asked you to come with me. Huamin blamed himself. If you ask me, we might have all been killed. My bodyguards aren't as strong as my grandpa's, Suyu said with a smile. Huamin smiled as well. He knew that Suyu was just comforting him. Thank you for understanding me. Huamin felt warmth in his heart when he saw how much Suyu understood him. Don't praise me. I can't give you the phone, just go to sleep. I'll call Rick and explain things to him. Okay, you win. Seeing how determined Suyu was, Huamin smiled helplessly. Then, he lay down on the bed to rest. Rest well. We'll go back tomorrow morning. Suyu comforted Huamin.
Okay.
When he walked out of the room, Mrs. Su was still at the door. You should go first. Leave this to me. I'll take care of Mion. It's okay. Mom, you should go back and rest. I'll stay with her. Mrs. Su seemed hesitant. I'm too worried about what happened today. I'll be more at ease. You should go back. Okay then, take Mion home tomorrow morning. Grandpa is worried about her. I know. After Mrs. Su left, Suyu picked up Huamin's phone and called Rick. He repeated Huamin's analysis to Rick. That's what happened. Huamin was worried that you would misunderstand that girl, so he asked me to tell you. Okay, got it, Rick said, and the two of them hung up. Boss, didn't we check it ourselves? This has nothing to do with Miss Cece. Song Qinghua has already placed spies outside the Su family mansion. Even if Miss Hu didn't come to see you today, she would have been ambushed if she met someone else. Miss Cece was just used by someone else. She must be very sad about what you did to her. Then be sad. Actually, it's good for Cece to leave me. Rick said faintly, Boss, I knew it wasn't her. I've known her for so long. How could I not see through her? It's just that. I think it's too hard for Cece to be with me. I can't be with her most of the time. I can't do the things a normal boyfriend should do. I can't watch movies, go shopping, go to the amusement park, and drink coffee. I can't even do simple things like that. I have to be careful with everything I do, and most of the time, she's in my office at Seductive Fox. Last time, when she was taken away by Horsiqian, I thought that I would find a chance to break up with her. I don't want to drag her into this anymore. She's just an ordinary person, and I don't want to drag her into this. I don't want her to live a life of violence with me. That's it. It's good for both of us. After speaking, Rick turned around and walked away. His subordinates were sad to see their boss like this, but their boss was right. To put it bluntly, what if they had enemies in the future and made a move on Miss Cece? They wouldn't have a good ending. Inside the military hospital, after Huamin fell asleep, Suyu took out his laptop and sat on the sofa, working and watching over Huamin. There were 8 bodyguards on duty outside the door. Just then, Suyu's phone rang. Lord Su, what's going on? I heard that Huamin was shot. Wei Liao called. Chapter 1683. Emchen. Oh my god, what's going on? Gao Ren just called my house and she was scared out of her wits. Tell your wife that Huamin is fine. It's just a scratch. I'll tell you the details when I see her. Alright then. It's really an eventful time. You should be careful too. Okay. After hanging up the call with Wei Liao, Suyu continued to work. By the time he was done, it was already 2 in the morning. He got up slightly, stretched, and walked towards Huamin's room. Looking at the sleeping Huamin, Suyu suddenly felt very happy. As long as he could quietly accompany Huamin, he would be satisfied. Sometimes, he even wished that Qin Chu would never appear again. That way, he would have a reason to stay by Huamin's side and take care of her. However, he also knew that Huamin loved Qin Chu very much. If Qin Chu didn't come back, then Huamin would be very sad. She probably wouldn't be truly happy for the rest of her life, therefore, Siyu sincerely hoped that Qin would come back. However, he also wished that time could slow down a little, just a little, so that he could spend more time with Huamin. "Good night, my beloved girl," Siyu said gently as he looked at the sleeping Huamin. Then, he turned around and walked out, gently closing the door behind him. The next day at 6 in the morning, Siyu secretly brought Huamin back to the Su family and left the military hospital. In the future, there would be doctors coming to take care of Huamin's checkups. After this incident, the Su family decided not to let Huamin leave the house so easily. At noon, while Huamin was taking a nap, Mrs. Su quietly pulled her son to the side. "What's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious?" "Huamin likes spicy food a lot. I asked the doctor, and he said he's fine. So, I was wondering if there's a place that sells hot and sour noodles since you always go out to eat hot and sour noodles?" Suyu was surprised. "Yeah, Mion was watching TV this morning, and I saw a girl eating hot and sour noodles. She looked like she really wanted to eat it. You can even tell." Suyu was speechless. "Of course, I'm also a woman. When I was with you, I especially liked to eat some sour and spicy food. Anyway, can you buy it?" "This shouldn't be a problem." "Then go quickly. Remember to buy it back tonight." Okay." After leaving home, Suyu went straight to GK. President Su, and walked into the office. "Has the Hua Corporation been up to anything lately?" Suyu asked. "I heard that Anai Yang's agent, one of GK's artists, jumped ship to the Hua Corporation and took a lot of artists with her." "Oh, did she break up with Anai Yang?" "Yeah, that seems to be the case. As for Anai Yang, I still haven't heard anything about him terminating his contract. There's basically no one left in GK right now, and GK, which is under the control of the US headquarters, is like a pool of stagnant water. Anai Yang has so much potential that a lot of companies want to sign him, but he hasn't done anything yet. I think that's one of the reasons why he and his manager broke up. Then it's probably because of Huamin. Anai Yang and Huamin are very close," Siyu slowly analyzed. "It's also possible the Hua Corporation is in the limelight right now. Ingzi is a top agent and is very good at creating stars. I heard that the Hua Corporation is going to produce a Best Actor and a Best Actress this year. They're selecting from interns. Let him be. I really don't want to deal with people like Hua Xiqian. Then are we going to do something big?" and asked. Chapter 1684. "I don't need it. Go tell the others that we'll have a meeting in 5 minutes." Okay. 5 minutes later, Siyu appeared in the meeting room in a white suit. All the executives were shocked. It seemed like President Su hadn't attended a meeting in the company in a long time. After finishing his work, just as the meeting was about to end, Siyu looked around. Suddenly, he asked, "Does anyone know where I can get some hot and sour noodles?" All the executives froze. Ahem, President Su is asking you a question, and reminded everyone. President Su, I know one. It's on Weisi Road, behind the Jiaha commercial building. There's a place called Indian Hot and Sour Noodles, and it's very crowded. They have really good biscuits and have been there for many years. I used to go there when I was in college, and it was really good." The person who spoke was a supervisor from the administrative department. Siyu nodded. "Okay, thank you. That's all for today." Dismissed. When Siyu turned around and left, all the executives were talking about him. President Su seems to be a little weird lately. Yeah, even a super rich guy would eat at a roadside stall. Is he in a relationship? Is he buying it for his girlfriend? All girls like to eat this kind of stuff. After Siyu got off work, he drove to Weisi Road. Tang Chuan called him and put on his Bluetooth headset. "Lord Su, let's go out tonight. My bro opened a new place and it's really lively. I heard there are beauties from 6 countries. Want a drink tonight?" "No." Suyu decisively refused. "Why not?" Tang Chuan was surprised. "I don't have time." "Fuck. You rejected me so quickly. I really want to slap you to death. It's one thing for Wei Liao to reject me, but he has a wife and kids. Why are you pretending?" Tang Chuan began to complain. Before Suyu could answer, he suddenly thought of something and smiled evilly. "Oh, I know, you're going home regularly because Huamin is home, right? What does it have to do with Huamin? Am I wrong to go home? I miss my old man. I miss my mother. Bullshit. Do you think I don't know you? In the past, you didn't even go home once a month. Now you come home every day. No matter how hard it is, it doesn't affect your restless heart. Go, go, go. Don't talk nonsense with me, I'm driving. Okay, then I'll leave you to it. Ha. Tang Chuan stopped teasing Suyu. Suyu bought a scallion pancake and a bowl of hot and sour noodles from the Indian hot and sour noodle stall. Then, he sped home immediately, afraid that the hot and sour noodles would turn cold. When he returned, Huamin was upstairs organizing the items needed for the newborn. They were all gifts from everyone and there were a lot of them. Mrs. Su also bought a lot, and Huamin organized them one by one. Suyu knocked on the door. Dr. Hua, I bought you dinner, Suyu said jokingly. You're back. Huamin smiled. Hot and sour noodles. Do you want some? How did you know I wanted some? Huamin looked a little surprised.
Don't worry about that.
Here, eat, it's still warm. Suyu carried the food over and placed it on the coffee table. Huamin walked over, sat down, opened the bag, and smelled the delicious aroma. Then he began to eat with relish. Huamin, I found a key problem, Suyu said awkwardly. What problem? Huamin looked up. Chapter 1685. Do you want to have a natural birth or a C-section? Ahem, why are you suddenly asking this? Huamin was slightly surprised that someone as rough as Suyu would ask such a technical question. I just happen to hear about it, make your choice, and I'll arrange for an obstetrician. If the fetus is in the right position, the umbilical cord isn't wrapped around the baby's neck, my health allows it, and the baby isn't too heavy, of course I want to have a natural birth. Natural birth is the natural way to reproduce. But I heard it's very difficult, are you sure?
Suyu's heart ached.
I'm not afraid for the babies, it's worth it. Huamin bit her lip and replied. Okay, I understand. I'll talk to the military hospital and find the best obstetrician to help you.
Okay.
Huamin nodded. She didn't want to say too many polite words because it would sound pretentious. Suyu had done too much for her. It wasn't something that could be repaid with just thank you. Oh, right, there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. Suyu thought of something else. What is it? GK Entertainment has stopped operating, all the artists left. And Yang's former manager, Ingzi, brought a lot of people to Huasiqian. I heard that Huasiqian paid her double the signing fee, so. And Yang is the only one left. He didn't leave, but he doesn't have any shows. You can think of a plan. Suyu finished explaining the company's current situation in one breath. Upon hearing this, Huamin fell slightly silent after a while. She looked up and said, Suyu, can you sign an Yang? Give me a higher price, and I'll give you the extra money. Don't mistreat him, that kid is really kind. Huamin knew that an Yang didn't leave because of her, so she felt a little guilty. If he's willing, of course I'll want to sign him. An Yang is a superstar. Money aside, I won't treat him badly. I'll definitely give him a high salary. But the premise is that he has to be willing to come. I think it's better if you personally come. Then can you bring him to meet me tomorrow?
All right.
10 p.m., in a clubhouse owned by the Hua Corporation. After Huasiqian finished his meal with the client, he asked someone to send the client off. Then, he returned to the huge private room. He picked up a glass of red wine. Is there any news? Have you found him yet? No. Have you searched all the nearby islands? Have you asked all the fishermen? Are you sure you haven't saved a man before? Huasiqian asked coldly. I've asked and searched all the islands. No one has saved anyone before. Boss, maybe Qin Chu is really dead. I think we're overreacting. That's impossible. Keep looking. As long as we don't find his body, I'll be worried. Huasiqian hadn't been sleeping well lately. He always woke up in the middle of the night. He kept dreaming about Qin Chu stabbing him with a knife. It was such an inauspicious dream. How's the other thing I asked you to do? I've already started. I'm just waiting for Song Qinghua to take the bait. Good. That old bastard. I won't give him another chance to do anything to Mian. After speaking, Huasiqian finished his glass of red wine and slowly stood up. Has there been any news from Suyu lately? Hua Xiqian suddenly thought of Suyu, who had been quiet all this time. Suyu comes back to the Su family mansion every day after work. He's very punctual. He's pushed away almost all of his social engagements, and the vice president went to deal with business matters. Hua Xiqian knew that he went to accompany Huamin every day after work. For a moment, he felt extremely jealous. With a crack, the empty cup in his hand shattered into pieces in his palm. He used to be jealous of Qin Shu, and now he was jealous of Suyu. Why wasn't he the one by Mion's side? At the Su family mansion, when Huamin came out of the shower, he received a WeChat message from Zhu Lingling. Girl, I discussed it with the stinky cop. We think the 16th of next month is a good date, so we're getting married. Huamin was overjoyed. Chapter 1686. Wow, that's fast. Huamin's voice was filled with happiness. I met their parents a long time ago. Both of their families are really pushing me. Plus, didn't you add fuel to the fire last time? That big diamond ring. I love you to death. That's not a problem as long as you like it. Huamin smiled faintly. But what I'm worried about is, how are you going to appear in a public place with so many people? Can you appear? Zhu Lingling asked worriedly. I'll discuss this with Suyu and come up with a solution. Don't worry. Okay. Anyways, I really hope that you can witness my happiness. It's too bad that you and Xiaowei are both married. Otherwise, would you be my bridesmaid? Oh, you're so annoying. It doesn't matter if I'm your bridesmaid or not. The most important thing is that you're happy. Mion, I didn't even dare to think that after all these years, I would still be together with Gao Ran. When we were in school, we both had feelings for each other. But after you and Qin Shu broke up, we both realized that love is so unreliable. Sometimes, it's not even as reliable as friendship. So, in the end, we kept all our words and feelings to ourselves. I thought, I'd just live my life a little more like a normal person. I don't have the IQ and EQ of you and Xiaowei. I'm always impulsive and don't think about the future. That's why I was so careless in making friends and almost got you into trouble. Good thing I didn't completely lose myself. Good thing I met Gao Ran in time. Zhu Lingling, don't have any big ambitions in this life. I don't want to be rich. I just want to live a peaceful life. Having a man who loves me, an obedient child, and a few bosom friends. I'm satisfied with this life. Lingling, I just realized today that you're pretty good at writing. Huamin smiled. Fuck, aren't I touched? I'm sorry. Saying these things in front of you is like showing off in front of an expert. Zhu Lingling was a little embarrassed. No, you're right. In fact, not many people in this world can still be with their young lovers. The chances are slim. The good thing is that our hearts haven't changed, and we still believe in the beauty of our youth. Gao Ran is a good person, and he's a reliable person. He treats you well, so cherish him and be gentle in the future. That's for sure. I was worried at first because Gao Ran's father. You know, he's such a high-ranking official. My family is just a commoner, so I thought it might not be a good match. But now I don't have to worry anymore. His parents are really nice to me. They've never looked down on me because of my family background. Of course not. If you don't try it for yourself, you'll never be able to prove it with your guesses. The world needs people with courage. Only people with courage can obtain the ultimate happiness. Huamin slowly told Zhu Lingling about her views on love. Zhu Lingling was very obedient to Huamin, so she kept nodding. I'm really flattered. Gao Ran's family didn't say anything about our wedding. They just gave us a couple 100,000 yuan as a wedding gift. They even prepared a duplex apartment for us on Second Ring Road. His mother even said that she'd get me a new car. But I don't think it's too high profile. Gao Ran's just the captain of the criminal police force, so driving a Jaguar is already very expensive. We're already very satisfied. What about you? Are you still working as a flight attendant? Chapter 1687. Of course, we're all individuals. We don't have to depend on others to survive. I can't be a pampered rich lady. That's not my personality. I really like being a flight attendant, and in a few years I might even become a flight attendant. I don't want to be a burden to Gao Ran. I want to be outstanding and be qualified to stand beside him. Just like how you work hard to be outstanding and stand beside Mr. Qin. Huamin fell silent at the mention of Qin Chu. Mian, are you still thinking about Qin Chu? Then, have you thought about what you'll do if he really dies? Are you going to wait forever? Zhu Lingling didn't dare to ask before, because she was afraid that Huamin would get hurt. But now, it seemed like Huamin had already predicted this outcome. That was why she dared to ask nervously. Lingling, actually, I've already thought about it. If Qin Chu really doesn't come back, then I'll raise our child well and fulfill my responsibility as a mother. Then, when the time is right, I'll go to the other world to find him. What about Suyu? He's been so good to you, are you really not going to give him a chance? Zhu Lingling was Qin Chu's diehard fan, but after so many things happened, she also admired Suyu. He pulled Huamin back from the brink of death time and time again. Everyone saw his sincerity. Upon hearing Suyu's name, Huamin fell silent again. I might never be able to repay Suyu's kindness in this lifetime. Huamin only said one sentence. Zhu Lingling immediately understood what he meant. No matter what, I'll support your decision. As your good friend, I'll support you unconditionally for the rest of my life. I'll always agree with your decisions and respect them. All right, stop being so sentimental. Let's get down to business. On the 16th of next month, which hotel? Gao Ran's family said that they want to keep a low profile. They booked the Huaxia International Convention Center Hotel. What time does it start? The ceremony starts at 9 in the morning, but I hope you'll be there early. All right, I got it. Then I'm going to be busy these days. Geez, you can't go out. Otherwise, you can help me. Xiaowei is pregnant. You two are so troublesome. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. After hanging up the call with Zhu Lingling, Huamin tidied up and went to bed. The next morning after breakfast, Mrs. Su took the nanny to buy ingredients. She didn't know where she heard that it was good for pregnant women to eat more fish. Mrs. Su began to think of ways to buy wild fish for Huamin. Lord Su had gone to the capital for a meeting. Huamin was the only one left in the huge Su family. All that was left were the nanny and the bodyguards. When Su came in with Ni Yang, Huamin was patiently arranging flowers. Huamin, sis. Ni Yang saw Huamin and felt touched. Hey, you're here. Come and sit. You two talk first. I'm going upstairs to get something. Su found an excuse and left, giving them enough space. What's in your hand? Huamin saw that Su was carrying a bamboo basket. Oh, my mom asked me to get you some free-range eggs. She raised a free-range chicken and said it's very nutritious. Thank your mom for me. Huamin smiled. Ni Yang was wearing a handsome beige casual outfit and sat next to Huamin. How are you getting along with Jia? Lately, Huamin looked at Ni Yang and asked. Chapter 1688. Pretty good. My mom hasn't been feeling well these days, so Jia comes to my house every day after work at Southside to cook for us. Shui really likes her. That's good. Huamin smiled and continued to arrange flowers with her head down. Sis, you asked President Su to see me because you have something to tell me, right? Ni Yang knew that Huamin was in a special situation and couldn't see her easily. Otherwise, she would be in trouble. Yeah, GK has been taken over. GK Entertainment doesn't even exist. It's seriously hindering your career. I'm not afraid. It's good to take this opportunity to leave the entertainment industry. Dummy. You're still young and have so many fans who love you, and you love singing so much. Why would you leave the entertainment industry? I heard about Ingzi. She brought people to Huasiqian. Upon hearing this, Ni Yang's face darkened. I'm never going to talk to her again. I didn't think she'd be such a greedy person. In this world, there are some people who only care about benefits and benefits. Everyone has their own choices. What she chooses is her own business, and I won't blame her. But you, I can't mistreat you. You signed with GK because of me. Now, I'm going to arrange a better place for you. Sis, I don't want to. Listen to me. Ni Yang, you can't be willful. You're the pillar of your family. You're a man and have to support your family, your wife, and your children. You have your own career. It's not time for you to quit yet. I don't need to say much to President Su. He'll treat you better than GK+. President Sue has a lot of resources. Ingzi and the others won't work together to shut you out. Sis, if you still think of me as your older sister, then listen to me. Huomin's words were a gamble on Anai Yang's mouth. He knew that she was doing this for his own good. Then I'll listen to you, sis. In the end, Anai Yang was willing to listen to Huomin's arrangements. His heart was filled with warmth and gratitude. Ever since he treated this woman as a sister, they were destined to spend the rest of their lives together. Sis, how many months until the baby is born? Anai Yang looked curiously at Huomin's stomach. There's still a long way to go. It's only been 2 months. Does that mean there are still more than 7 months? No, there are still more than 6 months. Isn't it 10 months of pregnancy? Anai Yang was stunned. That's what the older generation says. Actually, the baby stays in the womb for 9 months. Oh, so that's how it is. Can I know the gender now? Anai Yang was really curious. He even made a private bet with Chun Jie to guess whether Huomin's baby was a boy or a girl.
I don't know yet.
Only in 4 months. Huomin smiled slightly. Wow, that's great. I'm going to be an uncle. Anai Yang suddenly exclaimed excitedly. Of course, that's why you have to prepare gifts for the babies. I won't accept gifts or money. I'm a rich woman now. I think you're so talented. You can write a song for the babies or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Anai Yang and Huomin chatted for more than an hour. When it was about time, Suyu went downstairs. He took Anai Yang out before they left. Huomin suddenly thought of something. He grabbed Suyu's sleeve and whispered, Lingling's getting married on the 16th of next month. Do you have any way for me to attend the ceremony? I really want to go. Chapter 1689. Okay, I'll think about it. Don't worry, get some rest. I'll walk Anai Yang out. No matter what Huomin asked, Suyu would agree to it, no matter how difficult it was. After they left the Su mansion, Anai Yang glanced at Suyu and said, President Su, thank you for taking care of Sister Mian all this time. You're welcome. Huomin and I are good friends. You don't have to thank me. Then, thank you for taking me in, President Su. Anai Yang smiled humbly. You don't have to be so humble. You're a superstar now. The price is worth it. Even if Mian didn't ask, I would have signed you. After all, I'm a businessman, and I have to make money. The conversation between two men was always so simple. After seeing Anai Yang out, Suyu went straight to the headquarters of Imperial Star. President Su, Miss Jian Tong won the Best Actress Award today. She beat all the other girls at the Hua Corporation. She beat Mo Shuai by 30 points. Isn't she great? Jian Tong's agent chattered onto Suyu. Really? That's good, that's good. Tomorrow, all the media will report about it. Our Jian Tong is fighting for face. President Su, we have a celebration party tonight, so I'm not free tonight. Before the agent could finish, Suyu immediately rejected the invitation. But Miss Jian Tong will be very disappointed. She's working so hard for the company mostly because of you. President Su, if you're not free, you can go and say hi. Otherwise, with so many reporters here, it'll seem like you don't care about Jian Tong. Seeing this, and also tried to persuade Suyu. Yes, President Su, I also suggest you go and say hi. Shut the reporters up, or else I don't know what they'll say. What time? It starts at 6 p.m. at the St. Regis Hotel. Okay, I'll be there at 6. Suyu thought about the pros and cons and finally decided to go. Jian Tong's celebration banquet was very grand. It was not inferior to a small banquet. Suyu said that the company would pay for all the expenses. He even gave Jian Tong a villa worth tens of millions as a reward. Jian Tong wore a peach-colored evening gown that night, revealing her voluptuous figure and young and delicate face. Many people were envious of her. After defeating Zhao Qingya, Mian, and the others, Jian Tong had become the #1 girl in Imperial Star. Suyu only wore a pair of black Italian trousers and a white Versace shirt that night, looking extremely elegant. President Su, wow. President Su is here. President Su, you're really here. You're so handsome in person. Some of the new female artists in the company had been training for a long time, but they had never seen Suyu in person. He was very low-key these days and rarely appeared at the company. Suyu walked directly to the main seat and sat down. Then he drank a glass of wine. Today is a good day. Thank you, Jian-tong, for everything you've done for the company. Here's a toast to everyone. Jian-tong stood beside Suyu with a shy smile and raised her glass. All the other artists raised their glasses as well after a glass of wine. Suyu looked at Jian-tong and said, I have something to do, so I'm going to leave now. You guys enjoy. President Su, Jian-tong suddenly called out to Suyu. Suyu turned around. Stay a little longer. Jian-tong was reluctant to leave. I have something to do. You guys enjoy yourselves. When you go to the nightclub later, just ask him to sign the bill. President Su, Jian-tong called out again. This time, because her voice was very loud, it attracted everyone's attention. Suyu looked back at Jian-tong in confusion. He felt like she was a little different tonight. Jian-tong's eyes were a little complicated. She took a deep breath and shouted in front of everyone, Suyu, I like you. Chapter 1690. At that moment, the entire room fell silent. Suyu's body trembled slightly when he heard this, and who was behind him trembled as well. Jian-tong was going to confess her love to him, and she was going to do it in front of all the employees. Ahem. Suyu coughed awkwardly. No one said anything. They didn't know how the big boss would react. Jian-tong walked towards Suyu, and before he could react, she wrapped her arms around Suyu's neck, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed him. Everyone was in an uproar. Everyone's reaction was, wow. Jian-tong kissed the big boss by force. Suyu reacted quickly and pushed Jian-tong away by reflex. Then he smiled awkwardly and said, You've improved your acting skills recently. You tricked everyone. Jian-tong's expression turned ugly then. Suyu said, Don't be fooled by Jian-tong. She's just teasing you and showing off her acting skills. Then, everyone realized what was going on and heaved a sigh of relief. However, Jian-tong's expression was extremely ugly. I'm leaving. You guys eat. After Suyu said this, he turned around and left without hesitation, and looked at Jian-tong sympathetically and followed Suyu out. Jian-tong felt like her heart had hit rock bottom. She had done so much for Imperial Star, and Suyu had never mistreated her. He gave her money, a house, a car, and all kinds of jewelry and watches. They were all her rewards, but she didn't want any of that. What she wanted now was Suyu's love. She loved Suyu so much that she couldn't let go of him. But why did he keep her at arm's length? Was it because of Huamin? Jian-tong and the others didn't know that Huamin had returned and was even living with the Su family. She thought that Huamin was still in prison. Therefore, Jian-tong took advantage of the fact that she had made a contribution and put on a show in front of so many people. She just hoped that Suyu would be too embarrassed to refuse, and then the two of them could have an ambiguous start. Unexpectedly, Suyu really didn't give him any face. Although he didn't say it directly, people with discerning eyes could still see what was going on. Tong, don't worry. President Su might be in a bad mood today, haha. Her manager tried to persuade her. Jian-tong didn't say a word. She returned to the main seat and continued to drink with a sullen face. President Su, where are we going now? Shaoan sat in the passenger seat of the Lamborghini and asked anxiously. Do you know where I can buy tofu skewers and chicken soup? Why do you ask? Shaoan was startled. Of course I'm going to buy it, but this is a roadside stall. I don't care what stall it is. I'm just asking if you can find it. Yes, there's one in the small alley up ahead. Shaoan didn't dare to say more. If the boss said that he wanted to buy tofu skewers and chicken soup, then they would go directly. Sure enough, when the car turned into the alley, there were many stalls selling snacks. Shaoan led Suyu to an old woman's tricycle. President Su, this is the tofu skewers and chicken soup you're looking for. Shaoan pointed at the big iron pot in the tricycle and said, Young man, do you want tofu skewers? They're delicious. The chicken soup is ready. The old woman was very enthusiastic. How much is it? Suyu asked. 5 yuan a bowl. The old lady answered without hesitation. Suyu took out his wallet, took out the cash inside, and handed it to the old woman. Here's more than 3,000 yuan. I'll buy the whole pot. Is that enough? It's enough, it's enough. The old woman was flattered. President Su, you want to buy a whole pot? Can you finish it? It's a waste. Shaowen was dumbfounded. Chapter 1691. Huamin likes them, Su said proudly and the old lady packed up the tofu skewers. It was rare for the Su family to be so quiet. Huamin went downstairs to get a glass of water when the door opened. A man in his 50s walked in. He looked handsome and serious, and he was wearing a traditional suit. The man looked up at Huamin and hesitated. Master, you're back? The nanny immediately walked up to him and handed him his shoes. Upon hearing the nanny's words, Huamin immediately put down the glass and greeted him. Hello, Uncle Su. I'm Huamin. Mr. Su nodded seriously and turned to go upstairs. Huamin was very cautious. Mr. Su was a little scary. When the nanny walked past her, she whispered to her, Master is like this. Don't be afraid. He's actually a very nice person. Mr. Su was very against Huamin's decision to live with the Su family. However, in the end, the family vote was 3-1, and he lost. Huamin successfully moved into the Su family. Mr. Su was busy with work and had been managing the headquarters of the Su family bank. He hadn't come back yet, and this was the first time they officially met. Mr. Su's indifference made Huamin feel a little uncomfortable. However, just as she felt uncomfortable, she heard the door open again. Suyu was back. He was carrying a lot of bags. What's this? Didn't you want tofu skewers and chicken soup? How did you know? Huamin was confused. I heard it from the nanny. I was just saying, why did you take it so seriously? Oh my God. Huamin felt like he couldn't speak so casually in the future because Suyu would do whatever he wanted. Was he feeding pigs or humans by buying so much? Eat it while it's hot. Okay. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. While eating the tofu skewers, Huamin suddenly said in a low voice, Uncle Su is back. He's upstairs. Do you want to go up and see him? Don't worry, that's how my dad is. He's always cold to everyone, as if someone owes him thousands of dollars. Why are you talking about your dad like that? It's okay, he's used to it. Su, you didn't care. You told me today that Gao and Zhu Lingling are getting married on the 16th of next month. Yeah, Lingling called me. Gao Ran isn't an ordinary person. His father is from the provincial government. This wedding will definitely attract a lot of attention. If you go with your current identity, it might be difficult. Su Yu said slowly, I know. That's why I wanted to talk to you. See if there's any way for me to witness their wedding without attracting attention. Huamin looked at Su Yu and said, Then there's only one way. Su Yu rubbed his chin and pondered. What way? Huamin was surprised. I can't tell you now. You'll know when the day comes. Also, don't tell anyone that you're going to the wedding. It's not that I don't trust them, but I'm just worried that something might go wrong. With your current situation, I can't let anything happen to you. Su Yu reminded him again. Okay, I got it. As long as I can attend the wedding, I'll do anything. No matter how smart Huamin was, he still needed Su Yu's help at critical moments. While Huamin was looking forward to Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran's wedding, he was also silently waiting for someone to come back. Seattle, USA. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran are getting married on the 16th of next month. Don't you want to go back and see them? The man didn't say anything. His slender suit outlined a perfect picture. Don't you want to go back and see my sister-in-law? I heard she's more than 2 months pregnant. Qining looked at the man in front of her and said word by word. Chapter 1692. Yes, our child will come to this world in a few months' time, Lin Sanji said. Qin Chu's eyes were extremely gentle as he spoke. So, when do you plan to go back? Qin Ning looked at her brother, her heart aching. Qin Chu came back to his senses and smiled bitterly. How do you think I can go back and see her like this? I don't think she'll mind. She'll be very happy to know that you're still alive. But I mind. I'm a man, a husband, and soon a father of 2 children. How can I take care of them like this? Plus, I haven't fully investigated Hua Xiqian's situation. These are all future problems. If Hua Xiqian doesn't die, Mian will never be able to rest in peace. But you're cruel to her like this. I know she's been waiting for you. Chin-Chu didn't say anything. There was a complicated look in his eyes. Big brother, is it because she's living with Suyu? Is that why you? No. When I'm not by her side, Suyu is someone who can take good care of her. I know Mion's personality better than anyone else, and I'm sure she's feeling terrible. But for the sake of the baby, she'll endure it. As for Suyu, I'll never worry about him. If one day, Mion really falls in love with him, then I'll let her have him. Big brother, you make it sound so easy. Is that what you're thinking? Don't you feel bad? I just want my Mion to be happy. But without you, how can she be happy? Qi Ning's eyes were filled with tears. Although she hadn't known Huimin for long, Qi Ning knew how Chin-Chu and Huimin fell in love. She was very touched, especially when Huimin silently took the blame for murder in order to save Chin-Chu. This was not something an ordinary woman could do. Ning, men and women have different definitions of happiness. I love her, but I want to love her with dignity. I don't have the confidence to give her happiness right now. I haven't dealt with Huixiqian yet. So even if sister-in-law gives birth, you don't plan to go back, right? Chin-Chu didn't say anything. Okay, I got it. After all, this is your own business. Big brother, you're so smart. You don't need me to tell you a lot of things. You should know better than I do. I just think that you and sister-in-law have been apart for 7 years. You've missed out on so many beautiful moments.
Now,
sister-in-law is pregnant, you. Forget it, I won't say more. You'll feel bad if I say more. I believe you'll take care of everything. After speaking, Qi Ning turned around and left in the living room downstairs. Ning, what do you think? What did your brother say? Lady Qin anxiously asked Qi Ning. My brother. Qi Ning didn't finish her sentence and just shook her head. Is it still because of that? Lady Qin looked worried. Qi Ning nodded. My brother's injury is in a very sensitive area. Even the top specialists in the US couldn't heal it. He's an excellent doctor, but even he doesn't have a good treatment plan. He probably thinks he won't recover, so he doesn't want to see sister-in-law. He doesn't want her to worry, and he doesn't want to give her happiness. Then he's willing to let Mion take our child and live with someone else. Lady Qin's heart sank. Chapter 1693. They didn't find out about Mion's pregnancy until later on. They also knew that Mion lied to Chin-Chu's father to get the surgery. But later on, she really was pregnant. The Qin family returned to the United States first. Chin-Chu's uncle had the foresight and had been moving in secret. When they found out about Chin-Chu's plane crash, they also thought that Chin-Chu was dead. But a week later, Chin-Chu appeared in the United States. It was a miracle. No one asked him what he had experienced or what had happened. Chin-Chu also didn't mention what happened that day. However, Chin-Chu's right knee was severely injured in the accident. They went to many top orthopedic specialists in the United States, but they couldn't heal it. Chin-Chu was deeply affected by this incident and had been brooding over it ever since later on. In order to avoid being tracked down, the Qin family all changed their English names, got new passports, and lived in seclusion in Seattle. There was a very big family in Seattle, and they were Chin-Chu's uncle's close friends. Therefore, they could protect them very well. This way, no one could find Chin-Chu's whereabouts. That included Rick, the Lino brothers, Huixiqian and Liu Yan. Chin-Chu wasn't very agile now, and had to rely on crutches to help him walk. So, as proud as he was, he felt like he had suddenly become a cripple. No matter how much he missed Huimin, he could only bury it deep in his heart. Don't force our son. If he had a choice, he wouldn't have done this. No one is sadder than him. He loves Mion so much. Mr. Qin sighed slightly, feeling sorry for his son. Old Qin, I really want to see our grandchildren. I don't even know if they're boys or girls. Mion is alone in China with the twins and has to live under someone else's roof. How can she live like this? My heart aches so much. If we were all here, would we be able to take good care of her? Lady Qin hated the idea of Huimin living with the Su family. Even though she knew that the Su family was the safest place for Huimin, however, he always felt that if his grandchildren were to be born in someone else's family, he wouldn't feel right. Right now, the Su family is the best choice. Mr. Qin tried to comfort her. Qin Ning added, Auntie, as far as I know, the Su family treats my sister-in-law very well. You don't have to worry about that at all. There's no such thing as living under someone else's roof. If Commander Su went to such lengths to bail her out, how could she live under someone else's roof?
Sigh.
I just want to meet them. The Qin family was not happy in Seattle. Qin Shu went out early and came back late every day. No one knew what he was busy with. Qin Ning was also very careful. She didn't dare to go out too much and didn't dare to make new friends. She was afraid that her whereabouts and identity would be exposed. Domestic there was a transparent glass greenhouse behind the Su family's villa. It was filled with all kinds of rare flowers, including orchids, daffodils, peonies, lilies. Lady Su liked flowers very much. Every room was decorated with fresh flowers. The greenhouse was very big. There was also a bookshelf and a place to drink tea. Huamin liked it very much. Every day at around 10 in the morning, she would come here to bask in the sun and listen to music. She would read books, trim the flowers and plants, and drink a cup of flower tea. Her days were extremely leisurely. When Suyu came in, he saw Huamin in a white lace dress. She had her hair tied up in a bun and was sitting there quietly, trimming a pot of red roses. Her profile was very beautiful, especially under the sunlight. Suyu stood quietly at the door and looked at her. Time seemed to have frozen at that moment. Finally, Huamin looked up and saw Suyu. When did you get here? Why didn't you say anything? She smiled. Chapter 1694. I've been here for a while. You looked so serious, so I didn't want to disturb you. Come and sit down. I'll give you a taste of my honey green tea. Okay. Suyu walked over with a smile and sat down on the bamboo chair. I heard a piece of gossip that I think you'll be interested in, Suyu suddenly said. I've never been interested in gossip. Lingling is the one who likes to ask. Celebrities have their own private lives too. It's annoying to be followed by paparazzi every day. It's not easy for anyone. Huamin thought that Suyu was going to reveal something about a celebrity. However, Suyu said, it's not about a celebrity. It's about someone you know. Rick and that female university student. Rick and Cece? What's wrong? Huamian's interest was piqued. Rick looked up. Then, he handed over the honey green tea. Suyu took the green tea and took a sip. Then, he said, as far as I know, they broke up. Broke up? Are you kidding? Huamin thought that Rick and Cece were a good match. When they were together, they looked very loving. You're right. Because of what happened last time, Rick suspected that his girlfriend betrayed you on purpose. Didn't I tell you to call Rick and explain it to him?
Huamin was surprised.
I did, but it sounds like Rick already knew the truth. As for the real reason why they broke up, it's Rick's own business. After all, no one knows what he's thinking. How did you know? That female university student has an older sister called Nieling Xian. She's an actress in our company. She's not very famous, but she has a good reputation in the industry. She took a few days off. I heard that she went to Bali with her lost sister for a vacation. The almighty President Su, such a big CEO, why would he care about an unknown artist? Oh, don't tell me you're interested in her? Huamin teased Suyu. Suyu immediately blushed. What nonsense are you talking about? The reason why I'm paying attention to her is because I had someone investigate Nielingxi in private. I want to know who she is and whether she works for Huasiqian or Song Qinghua. What's the result? Huamin smiled at Suyu while holding a cup of flower tea. In the end, I found out that she wasn't. Last time, she was just coincidentally used by someone. So, I found out about her family and paid attention to her. This is serious, but with Rick's personality, he must have his reasons for breaking up with her. I can't say anything to persuade him. He has to figure it out himself. It's not up to me to persuade him. But, poor Cece. She has to bear the pain alone. Come to think of it, it's all because of me. Huamin felt that if he hadn't put himself in danger and caused everyone to worry, perhaps Rick wouldn't have broken up with him in a fit of anger. Nonsense. You can't be blamed for this. She was the one who asked you to persuade Rick. Suyu was completely biased towards Humin no matter what Humian did wrong. He would still try to understand her without reason. Have you taken care of Yang? Replying to your majesty, this humble one has already done as you instructed. Hearing Suyu's tone, Humin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lord Su, don't be so polite with me. I can't stand it. Humin, I have a greedy request. I wonder if you'll agree to it? Suyu looked at Humin's bright smile and felt like his heart was about to stop beating. What is it? Humin tilted his head and smiled like a blooming flower. If Qin Chu really doesn't come back, you can live with us like this and never move out, okay? It's not that you have to stay with me. I just want you to stay here forever, even if it's as my friend. Suyu's voice was unusually gentle. He was afraid that one wrong word would upset Humin. Chapter 1695. Suyu, you have to understand that if I don't stay with you, I won't be able to stay here forever as your friend. Sooner or later, you'll get married and have kids. When that time comes, before Humin could finish, Suyu anxiously interrupted him. I won't get married or have kids. Isn't it good to live like this? That's not realistic, Suyu. No, to me, this is reality. I think the current situation is very good. I'm willing to continue living like this. I don't want to destroy this beautiful situation. As for how to choose, that's my business. You just need to answer me. Will you continue living here? Suyu looked at Humin expectantly. Finally, Humin bit down on his lips and said softly, I'm sorry, I can't promise you that. Whether Qin Chu comes back or not, I can't stay here forever. After all, this isn't my home, and my child's surname isn't Su. Plus, even if Qin Chu doesn't come back, I have other plans. Right now, I'm pregnant, and I only care about the baby. I don't have the time to deal with Huasiqian. But after I give birth, I'll start investigating him. I'll find evidence to clear my name and find a way to get him punished by the law. After all, he's Song Yisher's murderer. So, no matter what, I can't stay here forever. Humin knew that if he said it, Suyu would feel bad. But that was just what she wanted. She had never given Suyu too much of a fantasy. So, this time, she wouldn't let her feelings for Qin Chu waver just because he might be dead. Okay, I understand. Disappointment flashed across Suyu's eyes. I'm sorry. Don't say sorry, you don't have to. You didn't do anything wrong. I was thinking too much. Oh, right, you said you wanted to deal with Huasiqian. How did you know that Huasiqian killed Song Yisher? How did you know that he didn't hire someone to do it? After all, he didn't have to do it himself. Suyu still had many doubts about Song Yisher's death. He had a different opinion from Humin. Humin believed that Song Yisher was killed by Huasiqian and that Imo Shui must have lied. When Song Yisher died, Huasiqian would never have been with her. However, Suyu thought that Huasiqian might have hired an assassin to do it. After all, as a leader, he didn't need to personally kill someone and be stained with blood. Humin thought for a moment. Then, he sat down on the bamboo chair next to Suyu and said softly, Do you remember how I stole Lin Mingyu's information?
Yeah.
Suyu nodded. I read Song Yisher's autopsy report in detail. It's not something an ordinary assassin could do. If it was an assassin, he could have just killed her with a knife or a gun. There's no need to be so cruel. What if it was a psycho assassin? Suyu asked. I don't think a psycho assassin would cut up the body so perfectly. It's almost as difficult as surgery. It's a waste of time to kill someone like that. I think it's evidence that Huasiqian left behind to frame Qin Chu. Also, Huasiqian is provoking Qin Chu. Provoking? Suyu didn't understand what Humin meant. Chapter 1696. When we were in school, Qin Chu was a genius. Over the years, he did everything perfectly. Huasiqian never liked Qin Chu. It's not only because of me, but also because he wants to compare himself with Qin Chu. He wants to beat Qin Chu in every way, so he deliberately showed off that he could cut up a corpse so perfectly. It's a blatant provocation. I'm sure Qin Chu will see through this. If that's the case, then Huasiqian is the real psycho. He's not just a psycho. Remember what I told you about his split personality? When I have time, I'll continue to investigate this matter. And it's really strange. Suyu nodded. Suyu. About the wedding. Hwamian had just started when Qin Chu interrupted her. Suyu smiled. Don't worry, I've already contacted them. Just do as I say. Unfortunately, you can only watch the ceremony and can't go on stage. You can't let anyone recognize you either. You just need to tell Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling that you'll be there. You don't have to say anything else. Okay. Upon hearing Suyu's words, Hwamin felt completely reassured. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. It was the 16th of next month. Huaxia Hotel was surrounded by reporters early in the morning. This was because Gao Ran was the only son of Director Gao. Although he was the captain of the criminal police force, he was still the son of a high-ranking official. Most importantly, the bridesmaid was Anai Yang, a superstar that Imperial Star recently signed for 500 million yuan. The bridesmaid was a little-known nurse named Chen Jie. Hwamin and Zhu Lingling recommended Chen Jie and Anai Yang. Without another word, Zhu Lingling immediately used it because of Hwamin, Anai Yang and Chen Jie were very happy and came to rehearse early. Many leaders, high-ranking officials, and famous entrepreneurs from the city and province had come. Wei Liao and his wife, Tang Chuan, Rick, and the others were all present. Hua Xiqian was dressed in a golden suit and appeared especially pompous. When he got out of the Rolls-Royce Phantom, he was accompanied by a big-breasted beauty. Rumor had it that she was the newest rising star of the Hua Corporation. The two of them graciously allowed the media to take photos of them as they walked inside. Suyu, on the other hand, came in with Wei Liao and the others. When he met Hua Xiqian, he didn't say anything. Mayor Song had also arrived, along with his younger brother. Quite a number of people from the Song family had come. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling's wedding was very grand. Just as the bride was about to enter the stage, Zhu Lingling received a WeChat message in the dressing room. It was from Hwamin. Lingling, I'm at the hotel. I'm in the crowd. Because of my special status, I can't show my face. But I will personally witness your happiness.
Don't worry about me.
Zhu Lingling excitedly held her phone and replied, Thank you, Mian. It was already very good that Hwamin was able to come to the stage. Zhu Lingling thought that Hwamin wouldn't be able to come out. Because of the attack last time, Su was furious. Since then, Hwamin had never left the Su family mansion. But now, as she was lost in thought, Chen Jie opened the door and walked in. She held up Zhu Lingling's wedding dress. Lingling, it's time. The ceremony is about to start. Okay, let's go. Zhu Lingling wore a white dress and exquisite makeup. With the help of her bridesmaid, Chen Jie, she walked to the door. Romantic music slowly began to play. As the MC's emotional confession continued, Zhu Lingling walked step by step towards Gao Ran, who was standing in the middle of the stage. More than 500 people quietly watched the ceremony. Hua Xiqian lowered his head and ordered the person beside him. Find a chance to get the woman beside Suyu to me. She should be Mian. Suyu sure is something. He's brave enough to bring her out. Haha. Okay, boss, I understand. Chapter 1697. It turned out that a girl had appeared beside Suyu out of nowhere. She was wearing a black top hat and a black dress. Her head was very low, and she looked very sneaky. It was impossible to see her face clearly. However, her figure was very similar to Hwamin's. She followed Suyu closely, and it seemed like Suyu was very nervous about her. No one else noticed, but Hua Xiqian did. Zhu Lingling was Hwamin's best friend since they were young. There was no way Hwamin wouldn't come to her wedding. Therefore, Hua Xiqian made up his mind to kidnap her. On the stage, the MC asked the newlyweds to stand face to face. Gao Ran looked at the woman across from him, and his heart raced. Zhu Lingling was shockingly beautiful today. She was so stunning that he couldn't bear to look away for even a second. Groom, do you have anything you want to say to the bride? Now is the best time to confess. After the MC asked, Gao Ran, who was dressed in a black suit, picked up the microphone. He looked at Zhu Lingling excitedly and said, Poison Tongue Ling, after all these years, I've finally married you. I've gotten rid of a scourge for the people. I don't want you to harm other men in the future. I want to tell you, from now on, you can be my scourge. I'm not afraid. Come on, ravage me. After Gao Ran finished his confession, the entire audience burst into laughter. The parents sitting in the first row also had awkward looks on their faces. Zhu Lingling laughed with tears in her eyes. She knew that Gao Ran was teasing her on purpose. Before the MC could say anything, Gao Ran put away the smile on his face and became serious. He looked at Zhu Lingling and said, word by word, "My dear Lingling, it took us so many years to get to know each other, and then to stay together. The days we spent together are still vivid in my mind. Whether it was your wildness when you were young or your maturity and beauty now, it has always affected me and made me fall head over heels in love. From this moment onwards, you are officially my wife. You trust me wholeheartedly and give me your everything, so I will cherish you, love you, and protect you. I will use our future happiness to prove that you made the right choice today. When we are old and have many children and grandchildren, when we can still walk hand in hand, I will still hold you tightly in my arms like today and treat you like the only treasure in my life. Thank you, God, for giving me you. I love you forever." After speaking, Gao Ran didn't wait for the MC to speak. He strode over, hugged Zhu Lingling, and kissed her passionately. At this moment, Zhu Lingling's face was covered in tears. Wow, our groom is so romantic. The bride is so touched that she's crying. Everyone clap, the MC shouted. The crowd erupted, romantic music started playing again. Look at him, look at you. Why didn't you confess so gently back then? Jiang Xiaowei leaned her head against Wei Liao's chest and scolded him with a smile. Why don't we do it again at our son's 1-month-old party? Wei Liao laughed. Go, we can't ruin our son's 1-month-old party. The little guy is the star of the party. Why should we join in the fun? Everyone chatted and laughed, but no one noticed that Suyu had begun to move. After looking around, Suyu walked out from a side exit with the woman behind him. Hua Xiqian's people immediately chased after them. Hua Xiqian was also worried and didn't want to mess it up, so he followed them out. Huh? Where's Lord Su? Tang Chuan turned around, but Suyu was nowhere to be seen. He felt that something was wrong. Chapter 1698. Suyu brought a mysterious woman to Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran's wedding. This caught the attention of Hua Xiqian and Song Qinghua at the same time. However, there were too many people here, so Song Qinghua didn't have a chance to make a move. However, Hua Xiqian was different. It was rare for him to have an opportunity like this, so he didn't want to miss it. Suyu and Hua Xiqian walked through the side entrance of the hotel. There weren't many people there. However, as soon as they reached the entrance, they were stopped. Suyu saw Hua Xiqian appear in front of him. President Hua, what is the meaning of this? Suyu smiled. Nothing, I just want to invite my little sister Mian to the Hua Corporation for a cup of tea and reminisce about the past. Haha, that's not necessary. I think Humin has nothing to say to you. Plus, she won't admit that you're her brother. That's not necessarily true. I think President Su shouldn't make decisions for Mian. Let her do it herself. Sure, you can talk to Mian yourself, I won't stop you. Suyu smiled. Hua Xiqian stared at the woman behind Suyu with a complicated expression. So, can you move aside? Tell Mian behind you to come out. I'm sorry, you've got the wrong person. She's not Mian. Suyu sneered. He confronted Hua Xiqian. President Su, don't joke around, let's not waste time. After all, we're all busy, aren't we? After speaking, Hua Xiqian waved his hand. The people behind him immediately rushed up. Suyu grabbed the woman's wrist and took 2 steps back. Hua Xiqian, how dare you steal her? Suyu was furious. Suyu, you better not make me do it. I don't want to be rough with Mian either. Plus, you know that her identity is very sensitive right now. She's still on parole for murder. If people find out that she's walking around like this, it won't be good for the Su family, so you know what to do. Hua Xiqian's intentions were cleared. If he threatened Suyu, and Suyu tried to stop him, Humin's identity would be exposed. After all, there were so many reporters here today, there might be paparazzi lurking nearby. Hua Xiqian, you say you love Mian so much? Suyu stared at him. Of course. I'm different from you guys. To me, she's the person I cherish the most in the world. I won't let anything happen to her. Of course, I don't need your protection. Mion came back to me. I'm just returning her to her rightful owner. After speaking, Huasiqian ignored Suyu's resistance and gave an order. Go, I have to take Mion away today. The people behind him immediately rushed up. Suyu wasn't someone to be trifled with either, and he began to fight with them. Suyu was extremely agile, and his punches were extremely fast, almost one punch per person. However, he was only one person, so he was distracted. Huasiqian took the opportunity to grab the woman behind Suyu and pull her into his arms. Mion, Suyu nervously exclaimed. Before Suyu could react, Huasiqian dragged the woman into a black SUV by the side of the road and quickly left. The people who were fighting with Suyu immediately retreated as well. At this moment, Suyu wasn't in a hurry to chase after them. Instead, he took out a wet towel from his pocket and wiped his hands. Then he smiled inside the RV. Huasiqian hugged the woman in the back seat of the car. He couldn't suppress his nervousness and excitement. He hugged her tightly and whispered into her ear, Mion, I miss you so much. Chapter 1699. He saw the woman lower her head even more after hearing what he said. Huasiqian thought that Huamin was nervous and scared, therefore. He patted the back of her hand and comforted her. Don't be scared, I won't hurt you. No one will ever hurt you again. However, just as he was patting the back of the woman's hand, he suddenly noticed a fatal problem. There was a red mole on the back of the woman's hand. However, Huamin didn't have one after interacting with Huamin so many times. Huamin's hands were always clean. But this, suddenly, Huasiqian felt a chill run down his spine. He suddenly lifted the black hat on the woman's head. He was dumbfounded. This woman wasn't Huamin. Instead, she was Suyu's artiste, Mion, who was a B-list actress. President Mion was extremely scared. Why are you here? Huasiqian's face was extremely gloomy, as if he wanted to kill someone at any moment.
I
don't know. President Hua, if you want to sign me to the Hua Corporation, you can talk to my agent. Mion was so scared that she couldn't speak properly. Stop the car. Huasiqian suddenly yelled. The driver slammed on the brakes and stepped on it. Huasiqian suddenly opened the car door and pushed Mion out, slamming her onto the ground. He didn't care about her at all. Mion cried out in pain. Boss, what happened? Huasiqian's subordinates were also dumbfounded. We fell into a trap. Suyu tricked us, Huasiqian said through gritted teeth. Then we have to go back and check out the scene. Is Miss Hua there? What's the point of going back now? She's long gone. Huasiqian hated himself for being too careless. He didn't think that Suyu would use this trick. Suyu found someone who looked like Huamin and tried to pass off the fake as the real one. So, where was the real Huamin? He was probably still at the scene right now. However, Huasiqian didn't have a chance to make his move because Suyu was definitely more prepared. After Mion was pushed out of the car, she endured the pain and called Suyu. Hello? President Su, it's over. He found out that I'm a fake and pushed me out of the car. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. You can act in the movie that the company is going to start filming next month, Suyu said faintly. Mion. Suyu had given her everything from a hostess to a celebrity. At first, like many other women, she wanted to seduce Suyu. Even if it was just to be his bed partner, she would not have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of her life. Later, she found out that even an outstanding woman like Jian Tong couldn't get Suyu, let alone herself. Therefore, Mion gradually had the foresight to keep a low profile. This time, Suyu's assistant, Xiaowen, contacted her and asked her to pretend to be Huamin and follow Suyu around. It might even be a little dangerous, so she agreed without hesitation. She knew that Suyu wouldn't mistreat her. Sure enough, it didn't matter if he was injured, but he still got what he wanted. Suyu finished the call and let out a sigh of relief. After dealing with Huasiqian, there was nothing else to consider. No matter how brave Mayor Song was, he wouldn't dare to make a move on Huamin at a time like this. Suyu turned around and returned to the hotel. The ceremony was still ongoing. Chapter 1700, and stood in an inconspicuous spot in the middle of the crowd. He was wearing a leather jacket. Beside him stood someone who was also wearing a black leather jacket. Just like this person was dressed like a man. However, this person was thin and small. He had a black baseball bat on his head, and there was no makeup on his face at all. However, he still looked pretty good. Huamin was disguised as a man and was brought to the center of the crowd by an early on Suyu brought cotton candy with him to confuse the crowd. No one would have thought that Suyu wasn't by Huamin's side to protect her. Instead, he handed her over to An.
Just then and looked at his watch.
Miss Hua, it's about time. The crowd will disperse soon. The food will be served. Then I understand. Let's go now. Huamin's voice was very low. She had already arrived at the scene and witnessed Lingling's happiness with her own eyes. To be honest, Huamin was so touched that she cried the moment Gao Ran confessed his love for her. She suddenly thought that if only Qin Chu was here, they could watch their happiness together. She also wanted to have such a beautiful and dreamy wedding. If it weren't for that incident, she might have had a wedding with Qin Chu. But now, there was nothing left. So many things had happened in a row. Until now, Huamin still felt like she was in a dream. She quietly followed An and got into the black Hummer that had been prepared beforehand from the back door of the hotel. Hummers were military vehicles in the United States, so they were custom-made and bulletproof. This was a car that Suyu had personally chosen. He was afraid that the gunfight from last time would happen again. When Huamin got into the car, Suyu was already waiting for her. When she got into the car, Suyu immediately handed her a bottle of water. Here, drink some. Okay. Huamin took the water and drank a few sips. Then, she quietly looked out the window. The atmosphere was a little heavy. Did you cry? Suyu tilted his head and looked at Huamin, whose eyes were slightly red. Yeah, I was touched by Gao Ran. What he said was so touching. Lingling is very happy. You're pregnant, so you have to control your emotions and think about the babies. I know. Then, Huamin looked at Suyu. Thank you for your hard work today. You must have put a lot of effort into dealing with her Xiqian. Before Suyu could speak, An, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, immediately said, President Su, you went through a lot of trouble. You ran all over the place with your body double. Hua Xiqian. You had to make it look real, so that he fell for it. Suyu of Suyu, Su Hua Su, 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 Su. He didn't want Suyu to tell Huamin how much effort he put into this because he didn't want Huamin to feel burdened. He didn't want to give her any pressure. Time always passed quickly in the blink of an eye. Spring left and summer came. Huamin's belly also started to grow. During the summer, she would wear a maternity dress most of the time. Suyu would still buy a lot of things to eat at home after work every day. Then he would leave. The Su family's feelings for Huamin grew deeper and deeper, and they treated her better and better. In late August, Huamin was already 6 months pregnant. Her body also became heavier and heavier. Gradually, she got used to comforting herself while waiting for Qin Chu's return. August 22nd at around 9:30 p.m., Huamin took a shower and was about to go to bed when she received a call from Wei Liao. Huamin is slightly pregnant. When? Huamin was delighted. Chapter 1701. Just now. Oh my god, that's great. Where is she now? She's in our private hospital. That's great. Congratulations on becoming a father, Wei Liao. Huamin smiled with tears in his eyes. After Zhu Lingling's wedding, this was another joyous event in their circle. Thank you. Xiaowei didn't want you to worry, so she told me to call you first. Oh, I'm so happy that I forgot to ask. Is Xiaowei's baby a boy or a girl? Huamin, you're confused. We knew the gender when she was slightly pregnant. It's a boy. Haha, look at me. Pregnancy really makes me stupid. No wonder she said slightly that I'm not as smart as I used to be. Huamin laughed mockingly. Was it a natural birth or a C-section? Natural birth, 6 kilograms. Both mother and child are safe. That's great. I want to see her. Slightly, it's not convenient for you to go out right now, so I don't want you to go. You can come back during the full month party, but I can live stream it for you to feel at ease. After speaking, Wei Liao switched his phone to video mode. Humin looked at the other end of the video as Wei Liao pointed the camera at the baby. He was wrapped in a blanket and curiously looking at the world in his crib. Humin's gaze instantly softened, his maternal instincts overflowed. Wow, he's so cute. His eyes are so big and black. Does he look like me or slightly? Wei Liao asked with a smile. Right now, he looks more like you, but I don't know what he'll look like in a few months. Honey,
I want to talk to Mian.
Jiang Xiaowei was lying on the hospital bed, her breathing weak. She had just gone through a big labor, and it was indeed exhausting. Wei Liao immediately pointed the camera at Jiang Xiaowei, slightly. Thank you for your hard work. You've finally met the baby. Humin looked at her with a smile. Mian, if you were at that time, you should have done a C-section. Natural childbirth is too fucking hard. It hurts so much. Luckily, my son was born in less than 5 hours. The woman next door to me screamed for the whole night, but hasn't given birth yet. My heart ached when I heard that. You have 2 babies, so please don't give birth naturally. Jiang Xiaowei was the first to experience the pain of a natural birth, therefore, he warned Humin that he should choose to perform a cesarean. Perhaps he would feel more comfortable. Slightly. Don't worry. Although I've never given birth before, I've worked in the OB/GYN department for so long. I know everything. Although it's painful, it's also the greatest thing. Before the C-section surgery, everyone gave birth this way. Although it's more dangerous, I still want to give birth naturally. I think that as long as a woman goes through the pain of giving birth naturally, then no difficulties will be able to defeat her in the future. Of course, I'm just talking about it now. When it's time for me to give birth, I don't know if the conditions will allow it. Okay? You're an authoritative doctor, you have a point. Slightly. Rest well. What you need the most right now is rest. Let the confinement nanny take good care of you. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'll be back to full health soon. How does it feel to be a mother? Humin asked. To be honest, when I heard his cries, I wanted to cry too. I don't know why, but I was inexplicably touched. That's normal. Every mother has this reaction. Haha, in a few days. Before Humin could finish, Jiang Xiaowei interrupted him. Chapter 17:02. Don't. It's too inconvenient for you to go out right now. The later you get, the more worried we'll be. How about this? There might be a lot of people at the 1-month party, so it'll be hard for you to come out. After I'm done with my confinement, we'll drive to the Su family to find you. How can I do that? Humin felt a little guilty. You don't have to be so polite with me. We just want to protect you. It's a deal. Okay, get some rest then. After hanging up, Humin had another sleepless night. The next morning, when she went downstairs for breakfast, she saw Suyu coming home. You're so early today. Yeah, I heard that fruits taste really good in the morning. I just went to the vineyard and picked some rose grapes for you. Wei Liao said that Jiang Xiaowei ate them all the time when she was pregnant, and it's really good. His baby's eyes are really beautiful. You should eat some too, haha. Ah, okay. Humin thought that Suyu was really funny sometimes. He would think of all sorts of weird things at breakfast. Only Mrs. Su, Humin, and Suyu were there. Mrs. Su. Xiaowei gave birth last night. Humin chatted casually. Wei Liao's wife, right?
Mrs. Su smiled gently.
Humin nodded. Wei Liao's wife is Humin's best friend. It was a coincidence that they met. They're a match made in heaven. Suyu interjected. Oh, that's great. Is it a boy or a girl? A boy, 6 kilograms. Humin and Suyu said at the same time. It was really amazing. After they finished speaking, they were slightly surprised. They looked at each other and smiled. The Wei family is really happy this time. It seems like the 1-month party is coming soon. We all have to go. I'm the child's godfather. Not only do I have to go, but I also have to give him a big gift. Otherwise, old Wei won't let me off the hook. Have you thought about what to give it to? Humin looked at Suyu while eating the porridge. Back then, I said that if it was a girl, I would give her diamonds as her dowry. Now that it's a boy, I'm going to give him a fucking Lamborghini. Then you're going to have to spend a lot of money, but it's nothing to you. Huamin chuckled. At this moment, Suyu bit her lower lip and looked at Huamin hesitantly. Then, he said slowly, "When your twins are born, I'll send them as well. If they're girls, I'll send them a cruise ship, so that when they walk, they can sit on the ship and ride the waves. In the future, they won't have to be afraid of the difficulties and hardships in life." "That won't do. It's too valuable." Huamin refused immediately. "What's valuable about it? He has plenty of money. Let him do it." Mother Sue interrupted. Mom, am I your son?" "This has nothing to do with being my son. It's your fault for being rich." After speaking, Mother Sue rolled her eyes at Suyu. Suyu was speechless. Huamin snickered. Suyu continued. "If it's a boy, I'll give him a private jet. When he can walk, he can fly in the blue sky. He'll be as strong as an eagle. He'll fight everywhere." "That sounds like a good idea." "It's settled then," Mother Sue said before Huamin could refuse. Time always flew by so quickly. When Huamin was 7 months pregnant, Jiang Shaowei's baby was 1 month old. The party was set to be held in 3 days, but Huamin couldn't attend. So, Wei Liao and Jiang Shaowei drove to the Su family's house. Mother Su bought a lot of delicious food for the couple. Tang Chuan also came. Lord Su and Mr. Su weren't home, so Suyu played host to everyone. Huamin's 7-month-old body was a little heavy. He walked very slowly and carefully. Suyu wanted to go up and help him. Everyone saw how nervous he was for Huamin. Huamin sat on the sofa and held the baby in his arms. "Hi baby, do you know me? I'm your auntie, Auntie Mian." Huamin played with the baby. Chapter 1703. "Son, did you see that? This is your auntie with the highest IQ. She's a genius who's even smarter than your mom," Wei Liao joked. "Not anymore. She's a lot dumber now that she's pregnant." Huamin chuckled. Jiang Shaowei immediately said, "Me too. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't even get anesthesia during the natural birth. Why do I feel like my teacher is going east and west? My memory is deteriorating. If this goes on, the bureau won't let me go back to work. I'll have to bribe Captain Gao that day. Hey, by the way, why are Gao Ran and Tang Ling here today?" Gao Ran finally got his New Year's break, so he went to Tibet with Ling Ling. Huamin chuckled. "Yeah, she sent me a WeChat message. She said she'll be back tomorrow night for the baby's 1-month birthday party," Jiang Shaowei said. "Have you named the baby?" "Yes, just slightly," Wei Liao replied. "What's his name?" Suyu leaned over and asked curiously. "Wei Yunqiu," Jiang Shaowei said word by word. "Wei Yunqiu, that's a weird name. What does it mean?" Suyu was puzzled. Before Jiang Shaowei could answer, Huamin held the baby and gently rocked him, coaxing him. He said softly, "Once in Gaocheng, 10,000 miles of sorrow. Reeds and willows like Tingzhou. Clouds rise above the stream. The sun sinks in the pavilion. Winds sweep the tower before the coming storm." "That's a good name. Little Yunqiu will be amazing in the future." Huamin explained Jiang Shaowei's son's name in a Tang poem. Jiang Shaowei immediately gave him a thumbs up. "In this life, I won't bow down to anyone but you. How did you even know this? That's amazing." Indeed, when I was in university, I really liked Tang poems and did a lot of research. Among them, I especially liked this poem by Su Han, "The East Building of Xianying City," especially the 2 lines in the middle. "The clouds have just risen, the sun has sunk into the pavilion, the wind has filled the tower before the storm." So when I saw the baby, I suddenly thought of the name Wei Yunqiu. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything. He seemed to understand Jiang Shaowei's state of mind.
What are they talking about?"
"I don't understand." Tang Chuan, who hated studying, didn't know what they were talking about. "Normal people like us don't need to understand the conversation between geniuses, just listen." Wei Liao smiled. "Oh right, I suddenly thought of something. Where's my son's present?" Wei Liao turned around and looked at Suyu. Suyu took out a key from his pocket and placed it on the table. "Fuck, Lamborghini. Lord Su spent a lot on it." Tang Chuan stomped his feet. "Don't worry, when you have a son, I'll give you one too. Suyu looked at Tang Chuan quietly and said, I knew Lord Su was always rich. He doesn't lack money. Tang Chuan said flatteringly. Then, Suyu's next sentence made everyone dumbfounded. When my son is born, you too can return the gift. You don't have to give me a lot, just a Bugatti each, Tang Chuan. Fuck, Wei Liao. Fuck, a Lamborghini worth over 3 million yuan and a Bugatti worth over 20 million yuan. Lord Su, you're too calculative. Wei Liao laughed. You see, all businessmen are cunning. Let's stop chatting and eat. I'll hold the baby, you guys eat first. Mrs. Su walked over. Auntie Su, it's okay. I'll do it myself. Jiang Shaowei was a little embarrassed. No, I love kids. It's rare to see a baby this big. I'll hold him, you guys eat. Then, Mrs. Su lovingly picked up Wei Liao's baby and walked around the living room. Her eyes were full of love. Tang Chuan looked at Mrs. Su holding the baby and suddenly said, when Lord Su is a child, the Su family will celebrate. So, Lord Su, when are you going to get married and have kids? Don't make Auntie Su wait too long. After he said that, he noticed a subtle change in everyone's expression. Chapter 1704. Suyu immediately rolled his eyes at Tang Chuan. What nonsense are you talking about? Why would I get married? I'm more likely to faint. I'm just imagining a beautiful future for you. Tang Chuan smiled cheekily. Do I need your imagination? Do you think I'm an idiot? Get the fuck back to the table and find your seat to eat. Suyu kicked Tang Chuan's butt jokingly then. Everyone looked at Suyu and understood his awkwardness. Then, they looked at Huamin and also felt uncomfortable. The smart Jiang Shaowei immediately changed the topic. She pulled Huamin's hand and said, Mian, don't you think my son is too unlucky? He was born on the tail of a Leo. Seriously, go ahead and be happy, sis-in-law. Your young master almost became a Virgo. Tang Chuan interrupted again. There's nothing wrong with being a Virgo. Don't insult my virginity. Huamin pursed her lips and laughed. Then, Huamin looked at Jiang Shaowei and smiled slightly. There's nothing wrong with being a Leo. It's such a gorgeous constellation. Come on. Leo is the most domineering of the 12 constellations. Normal people can't handle it. No, I think it's pretty good, especially for boys. The older they get, the more radiant they'll be. They'll be like leaders. They're just little lions. Although they're domineering, they're super passionate and cute. I hope so. Jiang Shaowei didn't say anything else. She pulled Huamin to the dining table and sat down. It had been a long time since they had a quiet meal together. Mrs. Su prepared a lot of delicious food, and everyone ate to their heart's content. Because it was a natural birth, Jiang Shaowei's figure recovered very well after they finished eating and left. Huamin was a little tired. Seeing her tired, Suyu immediately said, I'll take you upstairs for a nap.
All right.
Huamin walked in front while Suyu silently followed behind him. He was very focused, afraid that Huamin would have any mishap. After returning to the room, seeing that Suyu was about to leave, Huamin immediately shouted, Suyu. I want to pray to Buddha. Worship Buddha?
Suyu was stunned.
Yeah, the temple that Qin Chu and I went to before is quite far from here. But I really like it and want to go there again. But with your current physical condition, are you sure you can still go up the mountain to worship Buddha? Suyu looked at Huamin's delicate face worriedly. I can walk slowly, I'll be fine. Trust me, Suyu, I know my physical condition. I'm not that weak. I'm also a doctor, I know what I'm doing, Huamin said confidently. Suyu still didn't say anything. He lowered his head and thought about how to make sure nothing went wrong. Are you worried that I'll be targeted like last time when I went to see Rick? Huamin asked when Suyu didn't say anything. Yes, I can't take any more risks. I won't let anything happen to you. Suyu raised his head and looked at Huamin seriously. Don't worry. After you lured him away last time, Hua Xiqian is a very suspicious person. He won't do anything so easily. Even if he finds out that we're going to pray to Buddha, he might think that you're using the same trick again, so he won't fall for it. As for Song Yisher's father, He probably won't do anything either. I know Huasiqian better, so I believe your analysis. But as for Song Qinghua, how do you know that he won't do anything again? Suyu questioned Huamin's words. Chapter 17:05. I've been paying attention to the news these past few days. Song Qinghua's frequency of leaving the country has decreased by 1/3 compared to before. This isn't normal. Even if he occasionally shows up on camera, he's always in a hurry. I'm guessing that he's in some kind of trouble. He also went to Lingling's wedding, but he didn't do anything. First of all, he didn't dare to do anything in front of so many people. Second of all, he probably can't even protect himself, so he doesn't have time to deal with me. Also, you have to know that the last time something happened to me, it was in the middle of the night. Back then, there were very few people. Now that we're traveling in the daytime, there are cameras and highways everywhere. I don't think a mayor like him would have the guts to do something like that. What do you think? After Huamin finished speaking, he looked at Suyu confidently. Your analysis does make sense, but it's just your guess. Lin Fan said. Suyu still didn't want Huamin to go out. Suyu, I'm begging you. Huamin's voice was very soft, and his eyes were pleading. Suyu couldn't resist Huamin at all. As soon as he saw the look in Huamin's eyes, he would immediately give in. You don't have to beg me. I don't want you to go out. I'm just worried about your safety. But if you want, I'll definitely go with you. Thank you. Huamin smiled slightly. Oh, right. Don't tell Annie Sue and the others. I don't want them to worry. Huamin repeatedly reminded him. I know. When do you plan to go? Tomorrow morning, a little earlier. We'll leave at dawn. Is that okay? Sure, I'll come pick you up tomorrow morning. After Suyu finished speaking, he turned around and went downstairs. Huamin placed his hand on his belly and gently stroked it. Be good, babies. Come with mommy to the temple tomorrow and see the wishes your daddy wrote down, okay? Huamin's gaze drifted into the distance. The last time she went with Qin Chu, it felt like it was just yesterday. Everything was still vivid in her mind. She left with 3 wishes, kowtowing every 3 steps. Qin Chu was an atheist, but in order to accompany her, he kowtowed every 3 steps. With incomparable sincerity, the couple climbed to the top of the mountain and wrote down their wishes. Then, they tied it to the wishing tree with a blessing ribbon. At that time, Huamin didn't read what Qin Chu wrote. He just felt that one day his wish would come true. The couple would return together to fulfill their vows. Then, they would see, but now, there was no news of Qin Chu, and his return was far away. Spring left and summer came. The babies were about to be born, but there was still no news of him. Huamin was in despair. She didn't know what to do. When people were in a desperate situation and didn't know what to do, they would pin their hopes on the gods. The last time Huamin went to ask for a child, he already had a child. His wish had been fulfilled. This time, she was going to beg Bodhisattva to return her Qin Chu to her. She didn't want anything, not even the child. Even if she had to sacrifice anything, even her own life, she wanted Qin Chu to come back. Huamin couldn't sleep that night. She took out the diary from the drawer, took out a pen, and slowly wrote, This is the 6th month and 5th day of my pregnancy. The babies are moving more frequently. There are movements on both sides of the bed. I can tell that the babies are very lively and active. Mr. Qin, if you're home, you must tell me to be patient. There are only a few more months until we can unload. I also gave them prenatal education. Originally, I was listening to the piano music from Hayao Miyazaki's manga, but for some reason, it turned into those years. Then, my thoughts returned to the time when I was young with you at Second High. Those innocent days of youth. So, when will you come back? The babies and I are waiting for you. By the time she wrote this, Huamin's tears had completely soaked the diary. Chapter 17:06. After she got pregnant, she wasn't as strong as before. She was very emotional and liked to cry. She didn't know if it was because she was too weak or because she was a mother and her heart was too fragile. In the end, Huamin cried quietly for a long time before carefully putting away the diary. She wanted to record everything that happened during her pregnancy. If Mr. Qin came back one day, She would show it to him. He would read it page by page. She wanted him to feel how she and the babies lived without him. 5 a.m. in the morning. The sky had just turned bright. Sue came back early with a sumptuous breakfast. Auntie Yu and Mrs. Sue were still asleep. After Huamin and Sue finished their breakfast, they quietly left the house. Although they were going out quietly, Sue was fully prepared. There were a total of 3 cars. There were powerful bodyguards protecting the front and back. Huamin and Sue sat in the black Hummer in the middle. The 3 cars drove off on the highway at the same time. When Hua Xiqian received the news, it was already 8 a.m. He arrived at the company and was about to go to the Hua Corporation's morning meeting. Then he saw his subordinate rushing in with a report. "Boss, there's news about Miss Hua." "Speak." Hua Xiqian's face darkened. Last time, he was played by Su Yu and was very unhappy. He had been suppressing his anger. At 6 a.m. this morning, Su left the city with a lot of people. "I don't know where they're going." Miss Hu was also in the car. "Did you see it clearly?" Hua Xiqian asked. It was too far away. Su Yu's people are too smart, so we didn't dare to get close. We only saw it through binoculars and took some photos secretly. But we're sure that it was a thin woman because she was wearing black sportswear, a black baseball cap, and sunglasses. "Idiot. Last time, you said the same thing and said it was Mian. What happened in the end?" Hua Xiqian no longer trusted his subordinate's information. "But boss, I think this time it's really... I don't want you to think it's... I want accurate information. I can't be played by Su Yu again. We can't take the risk. If Su Yu lured us away again, we'll be in trouble. We'll be exposed. You know that kidnapping Commander Su's grandson isn't a small crime." "Boss is right. We didn't think it through." Hua Xiqian's subordinate, after all. "How are things with Song Qinghua?" "It's going well. I'm just waiting for you to say the word." Hua Xiqian, Hua Mian, Huazazazaz, Hua Huat. TSSSS, TTS. To Hua Xiqian, no matter how beautiful the world was, it could not compare to Huamin's faint smile. Unfortunately, his way of doing things was too cruel and merciless, which always ran counter to Huamin's natural kindness. Huamin's analysis was right. Hua Xiqian was scared. It wasn't that he was afraid of Su Yu's strength, but he was afraid that he would be played by Su Yu again. He had actually missed a good opportunity to make his move. However, Su Yu was no ordinary person. He would never bring Huamin out unless he was fully prepared. Even if Hua Xiqian really did bring people here, it would not be that easy to kidnap them. They arrived safely at the location of the sighting. Before getting out of the car, Su Yu looked at Huamin with admiration. "It seems that you guessed right. They really didn't do anything." Huamin smiled faintly. "Let's go up." Huamin couldn't wait any longer. He wondered what Qin Chu's blessing belt would say. That seemed to be the most attractive thing Qin Chu had left for her. Many people who didn't know better would have thought that they were a couple. Some nosy old men and women even walked over and asked curiously, "Young man, how far along is your wife?" Su Yu's cheeks immediately turned slightly red. He was too embarrassed to answer. Huamin, on the other hand, was very calm. "She's been pregnant for more than 6 months. So big. You're about to give birth. You have to take care of your body. Don't overwork yourself. It's easy for you to give birth prematurely," a kind old woman advised. "Thank you, Auntie." Huamin smiled faintly. "Look at her belly. The babies must be very big. It's going to take a lot of effort to give birth. Miss, you should eat less and control your weight," the old woman kindly advised. "Auntie, she's pregnant with twins. That's why her belly is so big." So you couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 17:08. Whoa, twins, your wife is amazing. You have to treat her better in the future. A woman's life isn't easy. What's that saying again? A woman is a princess for a day, a queen for 10 months, and a maid for the rest of her life. She's only a princess on her wedding day, and a queen for 10 months. Once the child is born, oh my. Not only will her figure be out of shape, but she'll also have to spend a lot of energy taking care of the child. The Annie chattered on and on. Huamin smiled and added, "Andy, you're right. A child is a parent's eternal bond. Give your love to your child for the rest of your life, just to be able to call you mom and dad. Hwamin used a lyric from Where Has Time Gone? After chatting with the Annie for a while, Suyu helped Hwamin inside. They walked to the wishing tree. Hwamin raised his head and looked at the blessings on the tree. Which one are you looking for? Did you write it yourself? Suyu asked. No, I'm looking for Chin Chu, Hwamin said calmly. Got it, I'll help you. Then, without another word, Suyu immediately walked over and started searching from the bottom. Then, he stood on the roots and tiptoed to look at the top. After searching for more than 20 minutes, she finally found Chin Chu's prayer ribbon among the thousands of prayer ribbons. Chin Chu's name was written on it. Chin Chu's handwriting was very beautiful, so you carefully took it down and didn't even have time to look at it. Then he handed it to Hwamin. Hwamin couldn't wait to open it and look at Chin Chu's familiar handwriting. In an instant, his heart was filled with gratitude because the blessing ribbon wasn't big. There was limited space. Chin Chu deliberately reduced the size of the words and wrote 3 wishes on it. After Hwamin saw Chin Chu's words, he broke down. She couldn't stop her tears, and they started to fall down her cheeks. Suyu, who was watching from the side, started to panic. Hwamin, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Suyu walked over and asked. Hwamin didn't say anything, but his eyes were filled with tears. Suyu couldn't help but grab the prayer ribbon from Hwamin's hand. When he saw Chin Chu's 3 wishes, he was stunned, because that was what was written on it. Chin Chu and Hwamin together forever. Chin Chu and Hwamin together forever. Chin Chu and Hwamin together forever. So, Chin Chu's 3 wishes were all related to Hwamin. They were all to be with Hwamin forever, but now they didn't even know if Chin Chu was alive or dead. A few months had passed, and there was no news at all. How could Hwamin not feel despair when his body couldn't be found? Suyu held the blessing ribbon and was thinking about how to comfort Hwamin, who was about to break down. Suddenly, he saw her turn around and run. Hwamin, where are you going? Come back. Suyu was scared out of his wits. He realized that things were bad and immediately chased after her. Although Hwamin's body was clumsy, he was familiar with the terrain, so he ran quite fast. After running for a few dozen steps, he suddenly stopped at a place. Then, Hwamin slowly approached. Suyu looked at him and instantly, his face turned pale. Hwamin was standing on the edge of a cliff. There were no protective railings. Below was a cliff that was hundreds of meters high. Anyone who fell down would be smashed to pieces. Suyu saw that Hwamin was very emotional as he slowly approached the edge of the cliff. Suyu was scared out of his wits. Hwamin, what are you doing? Suyu roared angrily. Chapter 17:09. Suyu, I want to be with Chin Chu forever. Hwamin turned around with red eyes and looked at Suyu. He said each word in a hoarse voice. Ridiculous. You don't have to jump off a cliff to be with him forever. Do you want to die? Besides, didn't you say that not hearing from Chin Chu was good news? He'll come back. Hwamin, don't do anything stupid. Chin Chu won't come back. If he's not dead, he would have come back to find me a long time ago. It's not like I haven't heard from him for months. Suyu, I don't want to lie to myself anymore. I'm so tired. I'm not happy at all. I want to find Chin Chu. Mion, even if you don't want to think about yourself, you have to think about the babies in your belly. They're so pitiful. They haven't even been born yet. Are you so heartless as to not give them a chance to be born? Hwamin cried and shook his head. I want to take my babies and meet Chin Chu in the afterlife. Then, our family will be together forever. What if Chin Chu isn't dead? Wouldn't you have jumped off a cliff for nothing? Then, how would Chin Chu bear the pain of losing you? Hwamin, calm down. You're so smart. You can see the situation clearly. Don't be rash. Suyu regretted bringing Hwamin here. If he knew this would happen, he would have rejected him directly. Even if Hwamin was unhappy, at least his life wouldn't be in danger. Right now, Hwamin wanted to die, driven by Chin Chu's 3 wishes. Hwamin was ready to kill himself. Suyu, I've been through too much. I think I can't hold on anymore. Let me go. I'll repay your kindness in my next life. After saying that, Hwamin jumped. Suyu's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick. He immediately flew over and grabbed Hwamin's leg. Then, he was dragged down by Hwamin's inertia. Young Master. The bodyguards of the Su family all called him Young Master Suyu. When they saw Suyu being dragged down by Hwamin, their hearts almost jumped out of their chests. The pilgrims who came to worship the Buddha also screamed in fright. "Oh my God, someone fell down. Quick, call the police and an ambulance." Sounds of disturbance could be heard from the crowd. This was the scene that Suyu's bodyguards saw when they rushed over. Suyu held Hwamin tightly in his arms, while his other hand grabbed a tree trunk that was not very thick. Fortunately, his arm strength was very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hold on. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and pull me up," Suyu yelled. The bodyguards immediately took out ropes and threw them down, pulling Suyu and Hwamin up. Perhaps he was overstimulated. The moment Hwamin jumped down, he blacked out, outside the VIP emergency room of the military hospital. When Mrs. Su heard the commotion, she immediately rushed over from home. "How is she?"
How's Mion?
"I don't know yet. She's still in the emergency room." Suyu held his head in frustration, blaming himself for everything. If something happened to Hwamin, what would he do? How could he forgive himself? Mrs. Su angrily punched Suyu's shoulder. "Are you stupid? She's already a few months pregnant, and you still let her climb a mountain? You even brought her up the mountain. What if she loses the baby? Poor Mion. It's all my fault. If I knew this would happen, I would have stopped you." Mrs. Su began to cry quietly at the thought of Hwamin and the baby being in danger. After taking care of Hwamin for so long, they were very close. She had always treated him like family. She didn't even dare to think about what would happen if something happened. Just then, the lights in the emergency room went off. The attending doctor walked out with a mask on his face. "How is it, doctor? How is she?" Suyu immediately rushed up and grabbed the doctor's sleeve. He looked nervous, and his heart was in his throat. Chapter 17:10. Both mother and child are fine. The baby is fine. She's just in shock and needs to rest. Upon hearing the doctor's words, Mrs. Su and Suyu immediately let out a sigh of relief. But young Master Su, Miss Hua's condition is a bit special. I hope you can come to my office with me. Okay. Suyu nodded. Mom, you go in and take care of Hwamin. I'll be back in a bit. Okay. Mrs. Su nodded and followed the nurse to push Hwamin from the ER to the hospital room. Suyu followed the attending doctor to her office. The female obstetrician had a serious look on her face. Is there something else wrong with her? Suyu felt that the doctor didn't tell him everything. He was afraid that Hwamin was in danger. Miss Hua is out of danger for now. The baby is fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk to you about Miss Hua's mental illness. Mental illness? Suyu was slightly surprised. When we tested her data, we found that her emotions were very unstable. We suspect that she has a mental illness. What do you mean? Prenatal depression, the doctor said without hesitation. Suyu never thought that Hwamin, an excellent doctor, would have such strange symptoms. The doctor thought that Suyu didn't understand, so she explained, prenatal depression is when a pregnant woman has unreasonable expectations of her husband or the environment around her due to physical or psychological changes. However, she doesn't achieve her goals, so she keeps suppressing her negative emotions. Eventually, the illness explodes. Today's patient must have been traumatized by something, right? That's why she tried to kill herself. Yeah, Suyu nodded, still regretting bringing Hwamin to the temple. Prenatal depression is very scary and shouldn't be ignored. It has to be treated as seriously as depression. No matter how optimistic and cheerful the patient used to be, once she suffers from this illness, she'll become a different person. She might have the following symptoms: anxiety, loss of appetite, lack of sleep, guilt, insecurity, difficulty concentrating. In severe cases, she'll have negative emotions about everything and will think of the worst in everything. This will cause her to lose hope in life and eventually lead to suicide. So, it's very serious. Then, what should we do? Suyu panicked. When Huamin studied psychology, he was a famous psychiatrist at Southside. Now that the psychiatrist knew that she was sick, how could she treat her? We suggest conservative treatment because her current physical condition doesn't allow for it, so we can't use any stimulants. We think we should let her family and friends spend more time with her and talk to her more. Most importantly, the child's father, young Master Su, isn't Miss Hu's husband in the city. Why doesn't he visit her? The doctor didn't know about Huamin's condition, so he didn't know about Qin Chu's situation. Her husband is abroad. He can't come back for some reason. What's more important than your wife and child? What a pregnant woman needs most is company. I think that her husband's absence is the main cause of her prenatal depression. This kind of thing should be taken care of. Doctor, is there any other way? Suyu was worried. Chapter 1711. There's nothing we can do. We have to talk to her, spend more time with her, or distract her so that she won't think too much. She'll be due in 2 or 3 months, so it's best not to make any mistakes. Okay, I know what to do. When Suyu walked out of the doctor's office, his heart was heavy. He didn't know what prenatal depression was. After all, no one around him had it. However, Huamin had suicidal tendencies, which was very scary. Therefore, he called Jiang Xiaowei because Jiang Xiaowei was a well-known psychologist in China. Wei, is your wife at home? Put her on the phone. Suyu called the Wei family. Suyu briefly explained what happened to Jiang Xiaowei, and Jiang Xiaowei froze. Mian has prenatal depression. That's what the doctor said. It seems like we overlooked it. Mian is so smart and has high standards for herself. She's afraid that people will worry, so she never shows her negative emotions. If she suppresses them for a long time, it will inevitably lead to terrible consequences. It's like, if we use mud to block the flow of water, the water will accumulate and eventually erupt into a flash flood. What should we do now? You're a psychologist, you should have a good idea, right? Suyu placed his last hope on Jiang Xiaowei. Jiang Xiaowei's heart also ached for Huamin.
It's been hard on Mian.
She went through so much during her pregnancy, and now Qin Chu is missing. She has to worry about protecting the baby, so she has to live in an unfamiliar environment and be separated from her family. If it were me, I would have gone crazy. Mian's mental fortitude is not bad. She's able to hold on until now. We thought too highly of her and thought that she was a god who wouldn't make mistakes. The truth is, she's just a 25-year-old girl. She's made of flesh and blood. She has emotions, and she has a temper. Suyu frowned slightly, and his heart also ached for Mian. For an ordinary 25-year-old girl, Huamin had indeed gone through too much. There were too many trials and tribulations and too many misfortunes. But don't worry, Suyu. I'll think of a way. Mian can't take drugs now. We'll find another way. Okay, I'll do anything as long as I can help her. Suyu was also anxious. He wanted to pluck the stars from the sky to comfort Huamian. I think you should go to New Zealand and bring Huamian's mother back.
Yeah?
That's right. Suyu was immediately enlightened. Then Mian's right, Mian's, Suze's. We'll take the rest one step at a time. Bring her some positive energy every day. Listen to more music and spread the news of the baby to her. I'll take the baby there when I'm free so that she can understand the greatness of being a mother and the magic of giving birth to a new life. Then thank you, Xiaowei. Suyu was very grateful. You're being too polite. Go and take care of Mian. We'll visit her at home tomorrow. Okay. After Huamin's pregnancy was stabilized at the hospital, she was discharged safely the next afternoon and returned to the Su family. She didn't eat much for dinner. Even Lord Su couldn't stand it anymore and reminded her. Girl, you're eating too little. You have to eat more. Lord Su, I don't have much of an appetite. You guys eat. Do you want to play a game of chess? Lord Su wanted to make Huamin happy. Grandpa, I'm tired. Why don't you let me sleep? Why do you want to play chess? Old man, you really don't know how to read people's faces. Hey, you brat, how dare you talk to me like that? Lord Su glared at Suyu. Huamin stuck out her tongue and smiled, but it was obvious that her smile was very weak. After returning from the hospital, Huamin was a little depressed. She was worried all day and seemed to have lost interest in everything. Suyu knew that Qinshu's 3 wishes were a huge blow to Huamin. He tried to coax her, but it didn't work. Just then, the doorbell rang. Suyu immediately stood up. "I'll go open the door." "Ha, I think we have guests." Everyone looked at the door curiously. When Yang Meirong appeared, Huamin stood up in surprise. "Mom?" Her voice trembled. Chapter 17:12. In the next second, Huamin ignored his cumbersome body and jogged over. He hugged Yang Meirong and began to cry. Yang Meirong also hugged Huamin with heartache. "Mian, my child, it's been hard on you." Then, they hugged each other and cried. When a person was at their weakest, they would feel much warmer if they had a mother's embrace to comfort them. Although Huamin knew that Yang Meirong wasn't her biological mother, Huamin still owed her a debt of gratitude. However, the kindness of raising her was greater than the heavens. She no longer had any qualms about whether she was her biological daughter. Instead, she truly treated her as family. "Did you arrange this?" Mrs. Su secretly asked Suyu. Suyu nodded. "You're not bad. Mion's mother will be much better now that she's back." After the mother and daughter cried, Huamin held his mother's hand and walked over to introduce them. "Mom, this is Lord Su, Mrs. Su, and my good friend Suyu. They're all very good to me. They saved my life." Before Yang Meirong returned to China, Jixin told her the truth without hiding anything. After Yang Meirong found out the truth, she couldn't wait to fly back to her daughter. After hearing Mion's introduction, Yang Meirong let go of her hand and bowed deeply to the Su family. "Auntie Yang, what are you doing?" Suyu immediately walked over to help her up. "We'll always remember the Su family's great kindness to our Mion." "Thank you." Yang Meirong bowed deeply to express her gratitude. "You don't have to do that. We treat Mion as our own family, and we all like her very much. Due to the special situation we're in, I hope you won't feel burdened. Just stay here and let Mion give birth safely. That's the most important thing," Grandpa Su said. "Yeah, sis. I'm a little older than you, so I'll call you sister from now on. Mion is a very sensible child, and we all like her very much. You don't have to be so polite." Mrs. Su also walked over. Everyone chatted in the living room for a while. Yang Meirong then helped Huamin back to his room to rest, although it was indeed inconvenient to be in other people's homes. For the sake of Huamin and the children's safety, everyone was accommodating and compromising. Yang Meirong's return put Huamin in a good mood. That night, she even posted something that she hadn't posted in a long time. Of course, in order to protect her whereabouts, she made a special setting so that only a few of her closest relatives could see it. She wrote a sentence: "You can withstand the fire and smoke of war, but you can also meet the golden years." Then, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Zhang Xiaowei, Wei Liao, Suyu, and the others all liked it in private. Zhang Xiaowei created a group chat. Except for Huamin, everyone else was in it. Zhang Xiaowei: "Lord Su, how's Mion's mood today? Auntie is back. Is she happy?" Suyu: "She's quite happy." Zhu Lingling: "With Auntie by her side, Mion will be much better. She'll give birth soon. Everyone go and see her. Good luck." Zhang Xiaowei: "Lingling, are you pregnant yet?" Zhu Lingling: "Pft, how can it be so fast? Children and parents need fate." Gao Ran: "Honey, this sentence sounds familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere before." Zhu Lingling: "These are Mion's words. I'm just using it, haha." Wei Liao: "Anyway, now that Huamin is fine, we're relieved. I hope the babies come out soon, so we don't have to worry about them." Gao Ran: "Lord Su, is there any movement from Huasiqian?" Recently, Suyu: "There's some movement from Huasiqian, but it's not directed at us. I think he's going to have a fight with Song Qinghua." Gao Ran: "They're going to have a fight? Aren't they good allies?" Zhang Xiaowei: "I think it's probably because of the attack on Huasiqian last time. Song Qinghua's vicious methods angered Huasiqian. After all, he always thinks he loves Mian. As they chatted, a news notification suddenly flashed on their phones. Zhu Lingling was the first to speak and immediately shouted in surprise, "Wow, it's big news. Look, look." Chapter 1713. After Zhu Lingling finished speaking, everyone quickly looked down at their phones. The headline of the news read, "Suspected mistress of a high-ranking official exposed, wearing $1 million watch and carrying a Hermes bag." Then, in the picture, there were two blurry figures. One of them was a young woman with waist-length hair. She wore a white dress and had a sexy figure. Because it was her back, her facial features couldn't be seen clearly. The man who had his arm around the woman's waist looked older, around 50 years old, and his hair was slightly white. His facial features couldn't be seen clearly either, but what made it worse was that not far behind them, an Audi A6 attracted everyone's attention. The license plate number of the car was CR0011. Everyone knew that 0011 was the mayor's personal car. So, a single stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. After the news came out, all the major forums exploded. Everyone was trying to guess who this high-ranking official was. Most of the public was saying that it was Mayor Song. If it was true, then he was in big trouble. After all, he was the mayor of a city. If there was a scandal about his mistress, then it would be interesting. Looks like Hua Xiqian has made his move. I haven't had the chance yet. But that's good. I can add fuel to the fire. Suyu smiled and then made a call to one of his subordinates. That night, evidence of Mayor Song's shady dealings with some black-hearted businessmen was exposed. There was also evidence of the land expropriation in the suburbs 3 years ago. Because of this, the news became even more intense. His once high and mighty image had fallen by thousands of feet overnight. From that day onward, more than a month of news broke, knocking Mayor Song off his pedestal. He became an official who was plagued by negative rumors. He was about to fall from grace, and he was only one step away. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Huamin was 8 months and 8 days pregnant. That night, Suyu came home from work. Song Qinghua is about to be finished. You'll be able to get your revenge soon. Suyu comforted her. Huamin shook her head. Actually, I don't hate Song Qinghua. It's not because I'm a saint, it's because he thinks that I killed Song Yisher, and that's why he hates me so much. It's natural for a father to love his daughter. In order to save Qin Chu, I took the blame. It's normal for him to hate me. I can understand how he feels. That's why I'm not happy that something happened to him. I understand, but this time, I wasn't the one who started it, I just added fuel to the fire. It was Hua Xiqian's people. I'm not so evil as to drug Mayor Song, seduce him with a young model, and then take photos of him, Suyu slowly said. But it's true that he's done a lot of bad things over the years. He's definitely not as clean as the rumors say, Suyu added. Huamin smiled faintly. Of course. What era are we in now? Who would be clean? If he really was, he probably wouldn't be able to get to where he is now. Hungry? Mion's analysis is right. We commoners don't understand politics. Otherwise, your grandpa would have told your dad to run a business instead of being an official. Suyu's mother smiled as she peeled an orange and glanced at Suyu. Suyu reached out and was about to take the orange when Suyu's mother slapped it away. Get off me. Is this for you? It's for Huamin. Then, Suyu's mother handed the orange to Huamin with a smile. Thank you, Auntie. Huamin smiled as she took the orange. Just as she was about to eat it, her expression changed then. Her hand holding the orange froze. What's wrong, baby? Yang Meirong could tell that Huamin wasn't feeling well, so she immediately got up and walked over. I think her water broke. Huamin's face was filled with panic. No way. She's not even full term yet. It's only been 8 months. Suyu was also confused. Hurry up and drive Mion to the hospital. Hurry. Suyu's mother was the first to react. She grabbed her son by the collar and dragged him out. Chapter 1714. Suyu panicked as he sped to the hospital in his black Lamborghini as he drove. He looked at Huamin and asked, Are you okay? Hwamin's contractions were already in pain, and beads of sweat slowly rolled down her forehead. I'm okay. I'm fine, don't worry. You keep holding on. How can you say you're fine at a time like this? I really have to hand it to you. The calmer Hwamin looked, the more Soo-yu's heart ached. Mrs. Soo and Hwamin's mother sat in the Audi Q7 driven by the Soo family chauffeur and followed them to the hospital. Military hospital. The gynecologist examined Hwamin and immediately said, "The cervix is 3 fingers wide. Let's go to the delivery room." Soo-yu, I'm so scared. On the way to the delivery room, Hwamin grabbed Soo-yu's hand for the first time. She held onto it tightly. She was really panicking. Soo-yu had known her for a long time, but this was the first time he saw such panic on her face. At this moment, Hwamin's face was pale from the pain, her forehead was covered in sweat, but she gritted her teeth and didn't make a sound. Compared to the pregnant women next door, Hwamin was like a tough woman. Because those women were all screaming at the top of their lungs, everyone had different pain points. Hwamin had always been an introverted person with a strong backbone, so she wouldn't complain about the pain easily. However, she was scared because she knew that giving birth naturally to twins could be dangerous. There had been cases of women bleeding to death during labor. Hwamin was afraid that she wouldn't have a chance to come out. If something happened to her, don't be scared. Hwamin, I'll wait for you here. I believe you'll be fine, nothing can stop you. Hwamin's breathing was weak, perhaps it was because it was too painful, so his voice started to become softer. So you listen to me. If I don't come out, I have a Swiss bank card in my wallet. It's in the first drawer of my bedroom. It's in my name. There's about 1 billion in it. Chin Chu left it to me. If I'm gone, you can take the money. Before Hwamin could finish, Soo-yu went crazy. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Deal with your own bank card. If anything happens to you, I'll burn all your cards. Hwamin was so angry at Soo-yu that he wanted to laugh. No matter what, nothing can happen to you. Hwamin, you have to be strong. You have to work hard to make sure that the 2 babies and you are safe. You are the best doctor. I believe in you. When Soo-yu said this, he was about to cry. His eyes were wet. This iron-willed man was not afraid of anything, but he was afraid of Hwamin's tears. Hwamin was suffering like this, and his heart was about to break. At such a critical moment, he still said such scary words. It was as if he was leaving a will. How could Soo-yu take it? Then I'll try. After a while, Hwamin said with difficulty. You can't try, you have to come out safely. I'll wait for you guys. Soo-yu held Hwamin's hand tightly. At this time, they arrived at the door of the delivery room. Soo-yu was stopped by the doctor. Young Master Soo, you can't go in. Wait here. The nurse comforted him. Soo-yu stopped in his tracks. He watched as Hwamin's figure finally disappeared from the door of the delivery room. At that moment, his tears finally couldn't stop falling. How is it? Son, where's Mion? At this time, Mrs. Soo and Hwamin's mother rushed over. She's in the delivery room. Is she about to give birth? Mrs. Soo also became nervous. Oh, what should we do? It's not even a month yet. Hwamin's mother was also anxious. Chapter 17:15. Sis, don't worry. I heard that the fetus will be fully formed after 8 months. If it's premature, it's not a problem. At most, the child will stay in the incubator for a few days.
Mion will be fine. Okay.
Yang Mayeron nodded, but she was still anxious. She took out her phone and walked to the other side of the corridor to call Jishin, who was far away in New Zealand. At this moment, Lord Soo called Soo-yu. What's the situation with Mion? I just called home, and the nanny picked up. She said you guys went to the hospital. Yeah, Mion is premature. Premature? It's only been a few months? Grandpa Soo was also shocked. 8 months and 8 days, she's already. Oh, that's about it. Has she given birth yet? Not yet, she just entered the delivery room. Okay, call me when she gives birth. That's all, I have a meeting now. Before Soo-yu could say anything, Lord Soo hung up the phone. Soo-yu was also scratching his ears and cheeks anxiously. He had never experienced being with a child. He was so nervous that he could die. If he could replace Hwamin, he would give birth for him. Several delivery rooms were connected, and heart-wrenching screams could be heard from the delivery rooms next to them. The pain was so painful that it made one feel pain just by listening to it. Su-yu was so anxious that he paced around on the spot, but he didn't know what to do. Son, go buy 2 bottles of water. Your Auntie Yang and I are thirsty.
Okay.
After Su-yu finished speaking, he left the delivery room and went downstairs to buy water. At the same time, in the home mansion, "Boss, there's news from the military." "What news?" Hua Xiqian was wearing a nightgown and reading a book called Willful Weakness. Miss Hua was just sent to the military hospital. It seems like she's about to give birth. Upon hearing this, Hua Xiqian immediately put down the book in his hand and took off his gold-rimmed glasses. About to give birth? Isn't there still some time? I heard it's premature. Premature? Won't that be dangerous? Hua Xiqian was also flustered. He stood up with a whoosh. Initially, he did not want Huamin to give birth to the baby safely, but Su protected Huamin too well. Ever since Huamin went to live with the Su family, he basically had no chance to make a move. Later on, Huamin's pregnancy got bigger, so he couldn't do anything. Because the moment he made a move, Huamin would also lose his life.
He would not take that risk.
Initially, he was waiting for Huamin to give birth and move out of the Su family. He was looking for an opportunity. But she didn't expect to give birth so soon. It was really an accident. "Boss, I think this is a good opportunity. Because they left in a hurry, they're not fully prepared. If we send too many people, we might be able to snatch them away." "Nonsense. She's already in the delivery room. What's the point of fighting? Do you know how to deliver a baby?" Hua Xiqian's face darkened. That person immediately lowered his head, not daring to say another word. "Get the car ready. I'm going to the hospital." "You're going yourself?" His subordinates were surprised. "Yes, I'm going to see her." When Hua Xiqian heard that Huamin suddenly gave birth prematurely, he immediately panicked. If Huamin was in danger because of this, wouldn't he not be able to see her for the last time? The man who had always been as steady as Mount Tai and always had a plan at this moment was also panicking. Hua Xiqian changed his clothes and walked out. Just as he was about to get into the car, the Land Rover suddenly exploded. There was a deafening rumble. Luckily, he didn't get into the car, or else he would have been smashed into pieces. Then his phone rang. He picked up the phone and heard a woman's arrogant voice say, "You better not take a single step out of the house today, or else you'll be separated from your family." Obviously, someone didn't want him to go to the hospital. "Are you Lu Yan?" Hua Xiqian asked, but the other party hung up without saying anything. On the other side, Huamin had been in the delivery room for more than 5 hours. At 1 a.m., the obstetrician came out, exhausted. "Did you give birth, doctor? How's my daughter?" Yang Meirong walked up and asked. "Yes, don't worry, the mother and child are both fine and safe." Upon hearing this, Su-yu, Mrs. Su, Huamin, and Mian all let out a sigh of relief. "Doctor, did Mian give birth to twins? Are they boys or girls?" Mrs. Su asked excitedly. Chapter 17-16. They're twin girls. They look exactly the same and are extremely beautiful babies. "They're girls, that's great." Mrs. Su had always liked girls, so she was overjoyed when she heard that the twins were girls. Yang Meirong was so excited that her hands trembled. "So, I'm going to be a grandmother? 2 little guys." Yang Meirong felt like her heart was about to melt. Su-yu was still frozen on the spot. He couldn't tell what he was feeling. His excitement was indescribable. It was as if Huamin was giving birth to his children. In fact, the gender of the child could be determined by an ultrasound at 4 months. Jiang Shaowei knew early on that she was going to give birth to a boy. Therefore, the Wei family started celebrating a long time ago. The 2 elders of the Wei family even prepared a lot of gifts for Jiang Shaowei. However, Huamin refused to know the gender of the fetus in advance because he wanted to keep it a little mysterious. He didn't want to know too early, otherwise there wouldn't be any surprises. Huamin didn't care about the gender of the baby. It didn't matter if it was a boy or a girl. As long as her and Qinchu's child was healthy and safe. "Where are the babies?" Su-yu came back to his senses after a while and immediately asked the doctor. The nurse has already sent them to the incubator. Because they're too light, they need to be observed in the incubator for a few days. The mother has exhausted too much energy, so she needs to rest in the hospital. Oh, right. Who's the immediate family? Can you sign the form for me? I am. Yang Mei Rong immediately followed the doctor to the office. Let's go and see Mian. Mrs. Su was in a good mood as she led Suyu into the hospital room. On the way, Mrs. Su didn't forget to excitedly report the good news to Lord Su.
Dad.
Mian gave birth. It's a pair of girls. Okay, you'll see them when you come back. We'll hang up now. Mrs. Su happily hung up the phone. What did Grandpa say? Suyu smiled. He can't wait to fly back. He kept saying that he wanted to prepare gifts for the babies. Haha. Grandpa is really excited. By the time Suyu and her son walked into the room, Huamin had already regained consciousness. However, he looked very weak and pale. Auntie Su. Huamin said weakly. Mian, you're the best. I can't believe you gave birth to twins naturally. Thank you so much. You're so considerate of your mother and didn't let you suffer too much, okay? You have a pair of beautiful daughters. Mrs. Su held Huamin's hand and said gently. Huamin nodded weakly. When I was in the delivery room, the nurse told me, they're very healthy. It's just that they're a little light. The two of them only weigh 7 pounds. They're not small. You have a pair, not just one. They'll be discharged in a few days in the incubator. Don't think about anything for the next few days, just take care of your body. I hired a high-class confinement nanny for you. She'll take care of you and the babies during your confinement. If you want to eat anything, just tell me, okay? Thank you, Auntie. You're so good to me. Huamin looked at Mrs. Su gratefully. You're welcome. I treat you like a daughter. Your Lord Su is so happy that he keeps asking to come back to see the babies. Just then, Mrs. Su turned around and called out to Suyu. Son, why are you still standing there?
Come and see Mian.
You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.